Are you listening? Damn.
Welcome to another edition of AFC North Talk Week 2 preview. Okay, we have some house cleaning to do. Q is on his way. He should be here any moment. But we wanted to get started with a couple of things. This is something good. We made it to 5K. Congratulations, guys. Well deserved. Shout out to everybody that is already watching. So shout out to the 24 likes and the 1 dislike, because even though that you dislike, you came and watched this. I appreciate that. But make sure you like this video. Okay, so we here in the AFC North Talk, guys, we try to have a good show, have a fun show. Everything you guys see here is very raw. We don't script anything, nothing. All we know is we're gonna talk week 2. We're gonna predict week 2's games, and I don't know what Ace is gonna predict. I don't know what Tony or Q or I know what I'm gonna predict, but the rest of them I don't know, right? And they don't know either. So sometimes we get heated, we go into heated debates, and you guys get heated, right? We see the super chats, we see the chats, and I enjoy the trash talk. Look, and I seen it. The guys also engage. In Twitter, we see your comments on Twitter, and I take everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever. But there's certain lines that should not get past, guys, and we wanted to address this before we go into the actual video. Between our super chats here, live comments, or the comments after the video, we do read all of them. Sometimes the comments go quick and we might miss here and there, but we do read them all. And there's things, guys, trash talking, like I said, is fine, but there's lines that should not be crossed. So on Tuesday, there was a super chat that I mistakenly put on air, and I apologize to my guys. I apologize to one of the viewers that said, like, oh, that shouldn't be getting in there. In the future, that person, whoever that person is, supposed to show a super chat like that, we will not show it there, but not only we're not going to show it on the screen, we'll block you for that video. Also, Twitter, which is our other avenue that we currently do to engage with you guys. There's a situation this week, and there was a personal attack on one of the co-hosts. And again, it was more than your team sucks. That was a dumb take, man. Right? Those things we're used to it. Man, we are used to it. I see it in my channel. I'm sure the guys here see it. But there was a line that they got crossed. Somebody went with racist remarks and uncalled for, and I know the guys will feel the same way how I feel.
Yeah.
And for me, it's a little bit emotional, right? And in my Spanish, then my English starts breaking out a little bit more. But we don't want you here. If that is what you want, essentially, if I don't agree with you, you're gonna be racist towards me or towards Ace or towards Tony or towards Q. We don't want you here.
Yeah,
we don't want you here. Go ahead, Tim.
And so, just to build on what you're saying, I mean, look, what was said about Ace on Tuesday was absolutely disgusting. There's no other way to put it, right? And that person, I hope you are not watching today. If you are, we do not want you watching the show. You can unsubscribe. Good riddance, okay? Look, the beauty of AFC North Talk, why this show is so good, and what I love about this show is that we exist in a media landscape right now where if you want to go out and listen to a show where they're only going to tell you the good things about your team and nothing in the bad, and you want to hear about how, hey, the Ravens are going to go 17-0 this year and there's nothing wrong with them, there are plenty of podcasts out there for you to listen to. The beauty of this show is that this is the exact opposite. This is something that rarely exists now, which is that we're all coming together. There's no need for bias, or there's no bias that can exist here because everyone's getting called out for it. And yes, that is going to lead to a lot of disagreements, both among us as hosts and among the fan bases. But like Sonny said, there are lines that cannot be crossed here, right? Because quite honestly, the way things are going, the tenor of the chat and the tenor of the comments over the past couple of days is just something that's not going to be sustainable in the long run, right? There have been shows tried like this in the past that did not last for reasons like this, right? Where hosts are just feeling attacked every single week. And why? Why do we want to get on this platform twice a week to be attacked by everyone? Now, attacking our takes is one thing. Again, when we get into the personal attacks, that's where I think we go too far. Now, the other thing I want to address about Tuesday's show, and we've talked about this as hosts, right? The show itself on Tuesday probably wasn't our best product, right? It got heated at times. We're talking over each other. I lost my cool to Sonny at one point. I think we do as hosts need to be better. And I got to say we need to set a better example. Yes, right. I think we need to put out a better product as well. But I do want to make sure that, like, as fan bases, we understand the trash talking is one thing, right? Your team is bad, my team is good. That stuff's fine. When we cross the line into personal attacks, again, I think that's where we all have to be better.
Ace, you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys summed it up perfectly. Obviously, AFC North, we all love to come together and give our opinions. And these guys are going to say things about the Bengals that I might not agree with. I may say something about the Ravens. I may say something about the Browns or Steelers. But that's what, we're here for. We're here to talk about each other's team in a realistic light. We think that we're the best division in football. We feel like this is one of the best shows on YouTube. And I think that that's what we stand behind. And, let's just keep it sports, honestly. To be honest with you, that's just where my head is at. I don't have a problem with Browns fans jumping in my mentions saying Baker is 5-1 against the Bengals. I don't mind that at all. I don't have, just to be honest with you, like Baker Mayfield was on my fantasy team 2 years ago. I do not hate Baker Mayfield or anything like that. So when it comes to any of these guys, I try to be fair with all of them, even including Joe Burrow, whether it's Ben Roethlisberger, which I've been a big critic of him as well, right? And even Lamar Jackson, last show, I talked about the fumbles costing the game. So that's just where my head is at, and I just want to make sure that we are putting together the best product ever. As they said, personal attacks. I didn't take it that personal once it was said, but there is no room for that because I don't want to open it up to that because that's just not what AFC North Talk represents. And I think that we have created this thing and it's been special and we've been doing this. This is the second year and I love to continue to have this grow. And so we appreciate you guys for tuning in and we're just hoping that we keep this thing going. And, there's no hard feelings. I did see people saying our Ace and Quincy, okay, we're good. There's no beef or anything with me and Quincy. There are no issues. I love these guys. That's why I come on here every week and do shows with them. So no, there is no personal things between any of us, just if you guys thought that. But yeah, with that said, let's go ahead and get on with the show.
Let's do it.
Last thing I will say as Quincy is working his camera, just giving a minute. We do listen to you guys. This is why we're going to address some of the talking over each other. We want to put a good product. So saying that when you guys have feedback, you can DM any of us you can tag us on Twitter. We have an email that we use for business. It's open there. So you can send us an email there. You can put in the comments below. If you have feedback, let us know. If we can make the show better, we'll do it, okay? So Q's here, so let me add Q. Oh man, I got him in a row. My bad, man. Oh, you're muted.
We know his secrets now. And you're muted too.
You're muted, Q.
Oh, I see. He's not set up. He's not ready. He's not ready.
Okay. My bad. I'm gonna take him out. You see, again, this is wrong. This is okay. As Q is setting up, well, let me take the super chat here real quick, and then we're gonna get the first game. Gabe Greenlee says, love all of you guys. Thank for all you do. Go Browns. Shout out to you. Thank you for the donation. Okay, let's talk about the first game. I'm going to go ahead and start with, you know what? I'm going to go with the 2-1-0, and then we'll talk about the other two teams. That's fair. Let's Steelers. Tony, tell me about the Steelers. That they might. Oh, before you start, let me just say this. Legitimately, this Monday, we can have Bengals first, two teams tied for 1-1, and the Ravens 0-2, or the Browns and Ravens 0-2, the Steelers 1-1, and the Bengals being the sole there at first. Tony, I just wanted to put that there. Go ahead.
I guess it could. Anything could happen. Steelers Raiders is a big game on Sunday. I know that for us Steeler fans, the math seems too easy on this one, right? The Steelers just went to Buffalo. They beat the Bills, one of the best teams in the AFC. The Bills are a better team than the Raiders. Therefore, if the Steelers are having their home opener against the Raiders, well, the Steelers should win that game, right? The math checks out. preview done. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I'll talk to you guys next Tuesday. If only Steeler fans, it were that easy. But we know going up against this Raiders team is never a fun task for the Steelers. The last 4 times these two teams have met, every single time it has been within a field goal. Now, I know 3 of the 4 of those games were in Oakland. The Steelers don't travel well out west. That's always been the case. But the last time these two teams played in Heinz Field, that was probably the craziest of the last matchups. That 2015 game had 8 lead changes. Antonio Brown had nearly 300 yards receiving in that game. D'Angelo Williams went for $170. And after Ben Roethlisberger went down with injury, it was Landry Jones who came in to lead the Steelers to a game-winning field goal drive. That game was absolutely nuts. And I expect that Sunday's game is probably going to be, look, Steeler fans, I think we all know we're probably going to be sweating this one out in the fourth quarter. Now, look, I don't want to diminish what the Steelers did on Sunday because I think they were terrific defensively, and they did answer a lot of questions that we had about them. But the Raiders are going to ask different questions about this Steeler defense, right? Whereas Buffalo went with a lot of 3 and 4 wide receiver sets, I don't believe the Raiders ran even 1 4 wide receiver set on Monday night. And so again, and I guess you could say like when they get into 11, it's technically 4 wide receivers because Darren Waller is more of a receiver than he is a tight end. But regardless, I mean, everything's going to be much more in line in that way, right? Waller's going to be more in line in that way. And so, that's going to mean different tests for this Steeler defense. Buffalo has like this diversity of talent at the wide receiver position. Not only do they have Stephon Diggs, one of the best receivers in the league, but Cole Beasley is one of the best slot receivers, and they added Emmanuel Sanders. So the Steelers had to mix and match coverage a lot to try and take away all of the different options that Buffalo has. Whereas you look at this Vegas team, and Darren Waller was targeted 19 times on Monday night, right? They are literally going to be force-feeding Waller. To put it into perspective, by the way, how many targets 19 is, that's 1 more than Ben Roethlisberger had completions on Sunday. The amount of targets that Darren Waller got was crazy, and so you're gonna have to try and limit him and limit your exposure to him. The other thing about Sunday's game that's going to be very different from this Sunday's game is the Steelers only rushed 4 for the vast majority of that game. They're likely going to bring pressure. I mean, this was a team a year ago that brought some of the most pressure in the league. They're not going to go from being blitz happy to blitzing none for an entire season. I think we all know the Steelers are going to blitz more on Sunday, and that is going to ask more of the young guys we talked about last week who played so well. Trey Norwood, James Pierre, Cam Sutton, right? There's going to be less guys back there in coverage. You're going to be asking more of each of those players. They also moved Minka around a lot against Buffalo to confuse Josh Allen. I wonder in this football game, when you're likely going to want to do a lot of high-low bracketing of Darren Waller, are you going to feel more stable kind of just putting Minka back in his free safety role we've seen him be in for the majority of the reps he's been in Pittsburgh? And then you also, remember, you have to respect Henry Ruggs and the speed he has because this guy is a blazer out there. And so you don't want to get beat deep in that way. I think just the tests that the Raiders are going to ask of this Steeler defense are different than some of the tests the Steelers had against Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. But if there's one matchup I absolutely love for the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game, it is rookie right tackle Alex Leatherwood against TJ Watt. We saw how good TJ Watt was on Sunday against, I believe it was Deion Dawkins. Alex Leatherwood's a player who I watched a lot of because he was a potential player the Steelers could draft in this year's draft. And the thing about Leatherwood is he's a big guy, he's an athletic guy, but he relies so much on that athleticism at the college level, and it got him in trouble at times. TJ Watt's going to take advantage of that. When you are not technically sound as a tackle in this league, TJ Watt will make you pay. Real quick on the offense, I thought this offense was very good in the second half of that game last week. They got so much better, and I think they're going to ride that storm. If there's an expectation I have in this game, it's that the Steelers offense is probably going to surprise some people. I thought the offensive line settled in. The Raiders are likely not going to have Yannick Ngakoue in this game, which is going to be helpful. Although they are going to have to deal with Max Crosby on the right side, and Chooks is going to have his hands full. The one matchup I want to point out on offense here, Deontay Johnson versus Trayvon Mullen. Mullen's a corner who I watched back at Clemson, very handsy, very good at the line of scrimmage, right? This is a guy who wants to be physical with you at the line of scrimmage, but Deontay Johnson is so good with his release, very sudden in his movements, and I think he could really get going in this one if they can get him matched up on Trayvon Mullen. The Raiders are probably going to want to put Mullen on Claypool because Claypool is the one that has more of the trouble at the line of scrimmage. But again, I like the offense to get going in this one. Vegas has the line here, Steelers by 5.5. As I said, these are usually far closer games than you expect. I'm going to hold my nose, and I'm going to take the Steelers. I'll lay the points. Give me the Steelers -5.5.
Before I go to Ace here, I disagree with a lot of what Ace says, but defend yourself with sports take. I appreciate y'all. Sports content, keep it up. Yes, sir. Thank you, King. Riley, Ace, what do you think about this Steelers team?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Steelers team, obviously last week, the defense was lights out. I think that was one thing that definitely stood off of the screen for me. And I mean, we saw this last year, right? That front seven is definitely a force to be reckoned with. And I think that is going to be something that's going to play a part in this game. Now, the one thing that if I did criticize the Steelers last week, it was that the offense did come out slow. So I expect to see them establish themselves, especially against a Raiders defense that we all saw on Monday night, kind of gave up some plays in the passing game to those Ravens receivers. And we all know that the Steelers do have some strong receivers themselves. Now, I was looking at the injury report. It seems like Ebron could possibly be out of this game with a hamstring issue.
Yeah.
We'll have to see what's going on there. So Josh Jacobs is out. I think that's a huge break for the Steelers because obviously he's, in my opinion, one of the Raiders' best players. They still do have Kenyon Drake, but they're two different kind of guys, right? They represent two different type of styles as far as that offensively. I think we'll see the Steelers definitely take advantage of this Raiders secondary. There's not too many guys outside of Casey Hayward Jr. that I really can hang my hat on. I think they also have Abrams, the safety, but as we saw last week, there were some plays definitely given up. And I think when it comes down to it, it's about the trenches. Tony touched on this earlier. The Raiders do have some pretty solid edge rushers, but if Yannick Ngakoue is out of the game, then that is huge. Because I do like Max Crosby. You know, you're talking about a guy that had 17 sacks in 2 seasons, in his 3rd season, already had 2 sacks that first game. I thought that he was definitely going to be able to take advantage of some of those tackles. But if Yannick is out of the game, you know, that's another huge break for the Steelers. So I think that the Steelers, especially with them being at home, especially with us seeing what week 1 was like post-COVID and how crazy it was, it's definitely going to be crazy in the Steelers' house at Heinz Field. So I can't go against the Steelers here. I've got the Steelers winning this one. And I know Tony's doing the whole betting thing. I actually have another one that I'm going to use just so we're not saying the same thing. I mean, when you look at this game, the quarterback ELO forecast for this game favors the Steelers by 4.5 points. So when you take quarterbacks into account with Carr and Ben, the Steelers are still favored to cover that spread, 66%. If you take the quarterbacks out of it, just with the traditional ELO forecast, this is where it gets interesting. The Steelers are actually still favored to win by 5, 68% chance of winning. So based on that, I think that this is the game that the Steelers are going to go ahead and take and move on to 2-0.
Okay. Shout out to Ro Raven Smith from Canada. I hate the other 3 teams, but because, and this is the thing in Baltimore, not the Z, because of the show, I'm a fan and sub to Q, Ace, Tony as well. So like the games, it's respect and trash talk. Okay. Q, what do you think about the Steelers?
I love how Tony gave himself cover that he did not afford the Ravens right there. I love it.
Wait,
Chipmunk voice, Quincy.
Are you doing Chipmunk voice on purpose? Are you mocking me?
No, I'm not. Hold on.
I don't sound like this at all.
It worked.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Well, it's a different mic now.
Yeah, it's my AirPods because I'm tired of dealing with this garbage right now. But yeah, I love how Tony gave himself some cover that he was not ready to afford the Ravens last week. Where he was like, hey, look, it's out west, the Raiders. It's always a weird game. So hey, they might not win, but hey, we'll see what happens. Literally on Tuesday, he was like, Sonny, you lost against an uncoached bad team.
Well, I mean, listen, I don't know the history of the Ravens going out west. I know the Steelers going out west is bad news. I don't know the history for the Ravens.
Just like every other East Coast team, kind of suck out west. Yeah, the Browns have a history in the last 20 years of sucking everywhere, so I don't know what our West Coast record is. Yeah, but it is what it is on that front, right? History is what it is for the last 20 years. But yeah, with the Steelers going, this is a game in Las Vegas, so they give them 2 home games in a row.
No. This is in Pittsburgh. This is the home opener.
Oh, this is in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's in Pittsburgh.
Better win. Get out of here. No, they better win. Okay, no, the Pittsburgh better win this one. They better win this one probably by like 7 or 10 points. Just because I think that offensive line for the Raiders is not very good. And I think the Steelers defensive line is like really, really good. They're playing at a high level right now. Also, I think that this is going to be a game where Najee Harris is going to be able to get off here, right? And you're not going to have to rely on Ben, and we're not going to be talking about, what was Ben's QBR or PFF grade. It's not going to matter as much. I think they're going to be able to do what they want offensively enough so that they don't have to worry about what's going on with it. Do I still have chipmunk voice?
No, you do not. You do not. You're good.
Okay. All right.
You sound a little.
Yeah,
no,
Chad is still catching up to you. Yeah, Chad is still catching up.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, that's there's really not much to break down. I mean, Derek Carr going against his defense, we went over this last week. Derek Carr's very mid. I'm not like this is like, remember when we had to watch because for whatever reason, every AFC North team played the Texans like a game after each other. And we were just tired of watching the freaking Texans by week 4 because we just kind of knew what the book was on that team by then because every AFC North team had played them. Yeah, we're going to be like that with the Raiders pretty soon here because I think I know the Raiders are probably like a 500 team. I think the Steelers are better than that. And they match up quite well against the Raiders here. And they're playing them at home, first Heinz Field. Is this the first game in Heinz Field?
Yeah, first game in Heinz.
Yeah, first game since that historic loss in the playoffs. Now, they didn't have fans at that game, but, it still happened in Heinz Field.
If no one was there to see it, did it really happen?
Well, I mean, people saw it on NBC.
Photoshop. It was Photoshop.
According to Nielsen Records.
Photoshop.
Showbuzz Daily. It was the #1 show on network. And the #1 playoff game with the wild card that week. And most watch. Everybody watch, you guys. There are people from high school that I barely know that texted me that was like, oh, my God, look at the Browns, Quincy. Like that's the level the game got. So, hey, it's good on them. They're going to redeem themselves from an embarrassing end of last season in Heinz Field. They're going to get that win back in Heinz Field for themselves. And they're going to feel real jolly and real good because goodness gracious, what are the Raiders going to throw at them? They don't have Unique Ngakoue. What, Max Crosby is supposed to get off on them? I know Chooks isn't good, but damn, like Max Crosby.
Chooks is not good. Yeah. Like, Chooks is not good.
Yeah, but I mean, he's literally preferable to them, to Andrew Villanueva, who got ran all over on him. So I would think there's a little bit of an upgrade there. So, yeah, I think this is going to be a good day for the Steelers fans. I think you guys are going to be pretty obnoxious and annoying all week. But hey,
when are we not?
Okay, let me say this. Let me piggyback something here. The Raiders lost the left guard as well, right? So
yeah, good is out. They lost a couple linebackers too. It's hard because we do the show on a Thursday, and the practice reports, really the Friday practice reports, what matters. Their injury report is very, very long right now, but it's a question of how many of those guys they can get practicing.
So and then if you think about it, against the Ravens, Yannick was playing good. Yannick is really good in a 4-3 base defense, and that's where he excels, and that's what they play with Crosby and him. But now you have only Max on the one side. They're probably going to activate Quentin Ferrell, a 3rd overall pick that was inactive against us, which is crazy. Talk about a bust. But I mean, this is the only thing that hello. Okay, the only thing the Steelers need to maintain is when I broke down the Raiders as a team, going from back last year before this game, obviously, it was basically the Raiders are a team that they eat big plays, right? If they can have 3 big plays in the game, then they score in those 3 drives, and that's essentially what they do. Between those 3 big plays is Waller, and then Jacobs, which I don't know if he's going to play because he left that game. He was injured. He was coming in and out. But it's Jacobs in the running game, Waller, Hemfroth here and there, and then boom, as soon as you're starting to bring down your defense a little bit, because Waller's basically in the 10, 12 yards, Hemfroth is 5, 6, 7, and then you had Jacobs, so your defense tends to just come in a little bit, and then that's what Ruggs is good for, 1 big play, right? Ruggs gets you there, Edwards will get you there in the other big play, and that's what they did last year, and that's what they did against us, right? They had 3 big plays, so the Steelers if the Steelers keep everything together, I think what Tony said, Minka should be playing center field. This is a game that, in my opinion, Minka plays center field, and he can be paying attention to Waller, but he can also be checking, making sure none of the other guys breaks a big play, right? This game is all geared up for the Steelers to win, because if you think about it,
are you picking the Steelers in this one?
I'm picking the Steelers, but let me tell you something.
I got to change my pick.
You better not lose to the Raiders because with all the crap that I heard here,
What does that mean?
On Tuesday.
does that mean?
Well, I would just clip that video that says, "Sonny, you want a good defense? Go watch the Steelers because we didn't."
Yeah.
So I would and I would. If you,
what was wrong with that? What was wrong with that statement? I was right. They were good. It was a very good defensive performance on Sunday.
True, but if you lose to the Raiders, I'm gonna catch you up with that quote.
Wait, hold on. I got a question real quick before we move on. Has your expectation of the Steelers this year changed because of the win over the Bills?
Maybe a little bit. I mean, I thought it was gonna be a hard-fought game. My whole thing this year for the Bills, specifically for the Bills, is what Josh Allen am I getting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And last year he was able to connect in the deep balls, and in this game he was. Now that's game one. Everybody's rusty. He didn't really play in the preseason, so who knows? It might just be rust.
The one preseason game he did play in, though, he was spectacular.
Yeah, but in the preseason also competition lowers, right?
No, I know.
So, but saying all that, I think the Steelers win this game. I think by a touchdown. I'm gonna go 7 points.
So you're all picking it. Okay, I gotta switch my pick. This is gonna be look, Steeler fans. We know this one. This is a classic Mike Tomlin like throw style points out the window thing. We always know this crap. This is gonna end up being Steelers by a field goal. If everyone's picking the Steelers again, this is gonna be a classic Steelers by a field goal. Like we're gonna be sweating out a game they have no business being in the fourth quarter. This is just like Steelers Raiders or Steelers Cowboys a year ago. Get ready to sweat this one out. It's great though. As a Steeler fan, you don't need a cardiologist because just being a Steeler fan. You know, if you can make it through a full 16-game season, like your heart is fine. You're fine.
One thing I just want to touch back on, you guys talked about the Bills. I thought the Bills, out of all the week one teams that I saw, I thought that was the worst performance, especially based off of the expectations for them this year. You know, I talked before the season, including them in that elite AFC kind of window. And obviously it's only one game, but that did not look like a team that was amongst the AFC elite, taking nothing away from the Steelers. But I just thought that, especially with them being at home, I thought that they were going to come out and perform much better, especially with the addition of Emmanuel Sanders. And the way they came out with all those penalties and punts and things of that nature, that was, I don't know. To me, that was the most disappointing week one, I think, loss. Maybe even over the Ravens, dare I say.
Well, I think the other one is Tennessee, right?
Tennessee too, yeah.
Tennessee looked. I watched that game on Shortcuts last night.
Dude, but Green Bay.
Green Bay is another one. Actually, Green Bay may take the cake.
Green Bay is the one. They
well, Green Bay is. If you're talking about the whole league, Green Bay, yeah. But if we're talking about if we're strictly going AFC, I think maybe Tennessee. Tennessee was.
Yeah.
There's a lot of problems.
I do think the Cardinals are. I think they're a sleeper, especially because they started off free agency getting all those guys. But yeah, I definitely expected that to be more of a
close game.
Close game for sure.
The Cardinals defense might be legit, like legit. Their front seven was all over the place, and their secondary already had talent in it. You know, Budda Baker and whatnot. They might just be like a legitimately good defense.
Yeah, they still coached by Cliff Kingsbury. I'm not.
I know you hate him. You hate him.
Yeah, there won't be anything when they will have all the look. Cliff Kingsbury is the NFL version of Jim Harbaugh. You can have all the 5-star talent you want. You can have all this stuff. As long as you have Cliff Kingsbury as your coach, you're going to go 500. You're going to be underway. Look what they did last year, where they went on that run. We were talking about damn Kyler Murray and the MVP conversation. We thought this was going to be a good team. And what happened? What happened? They Cliff Kingsbury that thing at the end, right? Because that's what Cliff Kingsbury. This is like watching the Falcons get a 20-point lead and thinking, oh, yeah, they're going to hold that. Come on now. We know what Cliff Kingsbury fumbled Patrick Mahomes. He fumbled Patrick Mahomes. The unfumbleable one. Yeah. Patrick Mahomes went 12th in the draft because of Cliff Kingsbury. Like, that's the level of coach we're talking about. I know this is not.
You can grow. You can get better over time.
No, he can't because nobody has held him to any consequence of him being terrible at his job.
He got fired.
He got fired at what happened? He got hired at USC, and they're like, no, USC, that's too much. You got to get an NFL head coaching job. This man is spelled
He's
forward
behind
his
to
entire
McVay.
life.
That was the
He has
McVay
no
You
summer.
may want to come,
reason
Quincy.
change.
You may want to come around on this one. I feel like you're going to be on the wrong side of this one by the end of the year. You might be on
Yeah,
the
I
wrong
don't
side.
care
The
what
Cardinals
he does.
look
He's
good.
gonna choke at the end. They could get the 1 seed in the NFC, and they're gonna lose to like the Washington football team or something like. I have no
Oh, yeah.
faith in Cliff Kingsbury. What? Cliff Kingsbury gonna win more games in the NFL than he did ever in one season in college football? We just believe that now. He could go 500 with Patrick Mahomes. Now he's gonna go 500 in the NFL in the toughest division in the NFC, or one of the toughest divisions in the NFC. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Yeah.
You know what's going to happen. They're going to look real good in September. They're going to look dope in October and in November, and we're going to forget about them by December. That is a Cliff Kingsbury guarantee. Woohoo!
Okay, so let's move on here to the second game, to the other undefeated AFC North. Sorry, the Bengals. Ace, you have a matchup against your old quarterback,
Yes.
one and only the Red
Ooh.
Rifle.
The Red Rifle, the Red Water Gun is in Chicago now. He's got a beard and everything. But it's still Andy Dalton. And that's why I feel like I love the Bengals' chances in this game. The one thing that I'm worried about, I think this honestly, if I make a prediction, I think Andy Dalton is at least going to throw one pick. And the only thing is, I think that this could be the last game that Andy Dalton starts for the Bears, because with them having Justin Fields on that bench, with Matt Nagy being on the hot seat, those fans clamoring for Justin Fields, all it's going to take is one more bad game from Andy Dalton. And if he has this meltdown against Cincinnati, with the Bears having a tough schedule, I think they're taking on Cleveland soon, if I'm not mistaken, probably week 3. They're going to be clamoring to put Justin Fields in. And that's what worries me about this game, because Justin Fields, Joe Burrow kind of talked about it this week. He could potentially be a Lamar Jackson style kind of player. And I think that he actually fits that offense better than Andy Dalton. But getting away from Andy Dalton, this is still going to be a solid matchup for the Bengals. You got Khalil Mack coming in. Now, he hasn't been the Khalil Mack that we're used to. You talk about 2 sacks, I believe, in his last 9 games, and that's counting this season. But I still expect Khalil Mack to be Khalil Mack. I mean, he's a threat. This Bengals offensive line looks solid week 1, but we did have some issues at the center position with Trey Hopkins. So we'll have to see. But I think that the game plan that the offensive line coach Frank Pollock has implemented will continue to go. It's actually also going to be interesting because you got the 2 leading rushers in the NFL taking on each other. David Montgomery, a kid from Cincinnati, going against this Bengals defense. Jermaine Pratt and those linebackers surprisingly looked pretty good last weekend. They did a good job against Dalvin Cook. We're going to have to do the same thing against David Montgomery. Another thing that I think that the Bengals can exploit is something that we exploited against the Vikings, the offensive line. The Bears' offensive line right now. A lot of people got slack. A lot of Bengals fans took slack because everyone said you should have drafted Tevin Jenkins and you should have grabbed this guy. And Tevin Jenkins is on IR right now. And they replaced him with Jason Peters. Jason Peters right now is dealing with the injury. So I don't know what kind of offensive line the Bears are really going to put out against this Bengals defensive line. And last week, I think the Bengals defensive line did take advantage of the Vikings. They could take advantage, I believe, as well, of this offensive line. And even though Trey Hendrickson did not record a sack, he did have several pressures last week. He caused some issues for BJ Hill. I continue to feel like I can see him do that this weekend in this matchup. And I think, like Sonny says, it comes down to the trenches. And if the Bengals can exploit that, I think that that's one aspect where there may be somewhat of a mismatch. The other thing is I'm talking to a guy, I believe his name is Harrison from Bears Now on Chat Sports. And the one thing that he told me is that one of the weaknesses of this Bears defense, which I'm just used to, expecting the Bears to have a good defense, one of the weaknesses has been the secondary. With them getting rid of Fuller, there has definitely been some questions in that secondary. And, when you play the Bengals, I feel like every week, if they have those 3 receivers, that is the first area that I'm kind of looking at. What do these corners look like? When I look at Chicago and I see the guys that they have over there, I'm not so sure that they can kind of keep up with these Bengals receivers. So I think that the Bengals will have some options there in the secondary. But when it comes to defending those guys, we have a similar issue, right? You talk about having Eli Apple in there. They just lost Ricardo Allen, backup reserve safety. That was played pretty well in week 1. And so that's my issue there is, who is going to be able to exploit Eli Apple? Because Eli Apple had the rotten apple drive that we called it last week, where he had a missed tackle on a 3rd and I believe 24 or something like that. And because of his missed tackle, they ended up picking up the first down. And on that same drive, he gives up a touchdown, has a holding penalty that doesn't, end up limiting the drive to a field goal. It was a horrible drive. And so I have seen some things that it could be time for Darius Phillips to actually start in place of Eli Apple. I've always been on board with that. Darius Phillips by no means is a perfect corner, but he will have a chance to kind of make picks and stuff like that, whereas Eli Apple is just going to kind of get torched the entire game. So it'll be interesting to see. I assume that they are going to play Darius Phillips because his role this year, they wanted to use him as a punt returner solely, and now they've taken him off of punt return. So I think that could signal that you may see some Darius Phillips there. But I think that the Bengals do end up winning this game. And honestly, I think it's going to be because once they get up on Andy Dalton, he's not going to be able to keep up. He may turn the ball over, and that's the position that you want to get him on. But the thing is, it is on the road. It is in Chicago, and so they'll have to go into an environment that is not their home environment and be battling against those elements that caused the Bears to have over 10 penalties week 1. So how do they respond to that? Are they going to play disciplined? I think that this team is different. I think that they do match up with this team very well, and I think that they can exploit this Bears team. I mean, I said it week 1 when we did the preview. I felt better against the Bears than I really did against the Minnesota Vikings week 1. And so I think that the Bengals do win this one. And I think the ELO forecast on this one, when you take the quarterbacks, the Bears are actually favored, believe it or not. And if you lose the traditional one, they're favored by 4.5, 57%, or 66%, I'm sorry. And then when you actually put in the quarterbacks, like when you say Andy Dalton versus Joe Burrow, it comes all the way down to the Bears only being favored by 2 points, 57%. I think that the Bengals steal this one. If they can limit Khalil Mack, if they can limit Montgomery, keep Allen Robinson in check, I think the Bengals end up moving on to 2-0.
Tony?
Yeah, I got a question for Bengals fans. I want to know how nervous you are about this football game because this is kind of the Bengals Super Bowl, isn't it? Like, look, Bengals fans, and I've been there because I did the same thing you guys did. Look,
you have not been there. You have not. You're a Steeler fan. You have not been there.
No. Hold on. Let me finish this point. Look, Bengals fans have said a lot. They've had a lot of fun this offseason. Okay, telling us about Joe Burrow, telling us about how we disrespect him. We disrespect the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay. And I did the same thing last year with Ben Roethlisberger. I put the hat on. I had a lot of fun. Put the chef's hat on. Let Ben cook. All of that was fun right up until Ben Roethlisberger threw 4 interceptions against Baker Mayfield in the playoffs. And then I had to get on that show on Tuesday. And that was not a fun experience. And Bengals fans,
it was fun for me.
You can't.
I mean, I had a great ball time.
Yeah, great. Fantastic.
I'm still having a great time off that.
I mean, that's the thing about Browns fans. Classic Browns fans living in the past.
Yeah, I know. It's only one win.
Yeah, listen. The Browns are 0-1. The Steelers are 1-0. Right. Let's live in the current day, not in the past. Right. Classic Browns
versus the Browns. So we just went 0-1 on purpose.
This is the Andy Dalton revenge game. And look, for all this talk about Joe Burrow, like you can't lose. You can't lose to Andy Dalton. Now, a lot of home crowds this week. We talked about it, right? The Steelers coming back to Pittsburgh, and after their big win over the Bills, like you guys talked about, the Heinz Field's going to go absolutely nuts this week. Baltimore is going to, even though the Ravens are going through what they're going through, I mean, Baltimore is going to support that team through everything they're going through, especially in a huge game against Kansas City, the home opener, primetime game. How about the dog pound? What Cleveland's going to look like on Sunday, welcoming that team back after the big playoff win that they had, all the expectations that they have in this season. And then there's Andy Dalton coming back to Chicago, where I don't expect he's exactly going to get a hero's welcome, considering that Chicago wants him out before they've ever seen him play it down in person. I mean, this is a guy who's probably going to get booed off the field if they even go 3-and-out. Yeah, I mean, if they just start the game 3-and-out, the Bluebirds.
But he's used to it, though.
Yeah,
he's experienced at that. Like he's had that.
He is. Now, before I talk about Andy Dalton and the offense, I do like the big question mark I have about this Bears team right now is what happened to their defense. Their defense used to be very, very good, and as far as I know, all that talent is still there, right? I mean, they still have Eddie Jackson. They still have Akeem Hicks. They still have Roquan Smith. They still have Khalil Mack. But my goodness, you would never know it. It was a disaster against LA on Sunday night. And I guess you'll give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt that they were going up against a Sean McVay coached offense. We know how well he does schematically, and now he has a quarterback he actually likes. And so maybe I give them a slight benefit of the doubt, but like there will not be a more open receiver than Cooper Kupp was on that long touchdown he had to start the second half of that football game. I mean, the amount of broken coverages in that game was alarming. And if this Bears defense falls off, I mean, they've got Andy Dalton, that quarterback. There's just nothing doing for this Bears team whatsoever. What I hate about this Bears offense and putting Andy Dalton in there is how much it kind of just nerfs everything they have at wide receiver. A couple wide receivers that I actually happen to like. I mean, you guys know I like Allen Robinson. Yeah, of course, I like Allen Robinson a lot. But you want to see the saddest thing of all time? Go to Next Gen Stats and look up his route tree, okay, that he ran on Sunday night and compare it to any route tree he had last season. I don't think he ran a single route past 10 yards because they got Andy Dalton back there, okay, who literally can't throw the ball more than 10 yards and refuses to do so. I mean, it is so sad. It is so sad to watch. That guy. It's unbelievable. And then you got Darnell Mooney as well, who I like. They're running Montgomery. Their running back, I think, is super underrated. But look, until they put Justin Fields in, you cannot predict the Bears to win a football game right now with this offense. Because an offense that has no explosion and needs Andy Dalton to be consistent down the football field, 10, 13 play drives, forget about it. Now, the one thing I will say, so I'm picking the Bengals in this game. I'll take the Bengals. By the way, the Bears are favorites in this game. I know they're home. Bears are 2.5-point favorites. You're going to give me points. You're going to give me points with Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Yes, I will take those points all day. However, the one thing I will say, the dangerous part about betting against the Bears right now, and Ace touched on this, Justin Fields could come in at any moment. At any moment, they pull the trigger. It's going to happen sooner rather than later. I mean, it's going to happen at some point. So when that happens, this Bears team offensively, I think, becomes much more dangerous because then they're going to start to be able to throw the ball down the field. Teams aren't going to be able to run man because they're going to be scared of Justin Fields running the football. Everything changes for this Bears team when they put in Justin Fields, but we have no idea when that's going to happen. So I'll take the Bengals. I'll take the 2.5 points.
Hugh.
Oh, boy. Here we go. So Bengal fans. Wait, can y'all hear me or not?
Yeah, we can hear you. You're a little quiet, but we can hear you.
All right, well, turn up the volume. Yeah, Bengal fans, y'all better win this game, by the way, as much as y'all been. I've just seen all the tweets, and it's been kind of fun to watch y'all because I know how Browns fans act, especially back when we knew the team wasn't that good. But, hey, you know what? Every year can be your year in the NFL, right? Seeing people tweet, this going to be our year. This it. Who they nation. Y'all hype. I see Zim in the chat just hyping up, Bengals fans. And it is it's almost adorable. Look, the Zim super chat.
Yeah, that's him. He's here.
Zim, I love that you want my attention so much that you're willing to give us all money for it. So I appreciate you, Zim. Hello, Quincy. That's all. Read every show. I'm on your neck. Recording all your BS takes. Tell Cleveland the truth. Stop lying. Ooh. I have my very first dedicated hater. That's what's up. Shout out to Zim Hude out here being the first dedicated hater. Can't wait to talk to you in week 8. See if you still got energy. All right, so this game versus the Bears. This is going to be an interesting one, right? Because Khalil Mack, is he playing? Like, what has happened to this Bears defense, as Tony has alluded to, right? Like, it's like Space Jam walked up in there and took all the talent away from this team, and now they're just a bunch of bumbling bums. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe they're trying to force Justin Fields to get on the team by just being real sorry early. Like, that might be what it is with them. And if this were Justin Fields in the game, I would feel a lot better because I feel like you could do more with Allen Robinson. I'm not the biggest Allen Robinson fan in the world, which, by the way, don't put that next super chat up.
No, I'm getting it. I'm getting it. Don't worry about it.
So
goodbye.
So I even lost my train of thought there. But yeah, so even though if Allen Robinson was that guy, AJ Green didn't have a problem running his route tree with Andy Dalton. So why can't Allen Robinson? Y'all told me he that guy, he that level, right? You know what I mean? All right, you know what I'm saying? Well, Allen Robinson, he's a supplemental dude. He's not going to be able to carry a quarterback like a Justin Fields will be able to. I think a Justin Fields can be able to if he develops into what he is. So right now, honestly, I'm feeling like the Bengals should win this game. I hope y'all do. I hope y'all do keep winning because, don't let this become a Jaguar thing where y'all win the first game and then, lose a bunch after that. Don't let that happen. Not that I think that's going to happen. I think y'all going to win 6 or 7 games. But Don't let it happen. Y'all been pumping your chest. Y'all been proud, loud, and you know what? I respect it as an Ohio football fan. But don't lose this game to the Bears. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't let the defense wake up on y'all there. Don't let the offensive line crumble. Don't let Joe Burrow throw a single interception. Oh no, don't let it happen. You know what I mean? Yeah. So don't let it happen.
Oh boy. I'm having flashbacks.
Look.
I'm having flashbacks to after I put the chef's hat on, and then
And look, Bengals fans, I'm not gonna do y'all like that. I'm not gonna do y'all like that.
I'm worried for you, Ace. I'm worried for you.
It would be funny if Andy Dalton did beat y'all.
He beat us last year. He did beat us last year. So I don't think
Joe Burrow. This would be worse if he beat Joe Burrow.
Yeah, he can't beat Joe. He can't.
With Joe Burrow, it's just different. And if y'all let Andy Dalton walk up in there with the Goof Squad and beat you, oh my goodness. So I don't think y'all gonna let that happen. Y'all gonna be on this ride just a little bit longer. It's gonna be a nice September for Bengals fans. Y'all gonna know that y'all gonna be guaranteed to be 500 by the end of the month. At worst, Bengals win by like 3. I saw somebody say 30 and 20 in the chat. Y'all tripping on that. Okay, the Bengals probably like 3, 2.5 is like the line right there. That's fair.
Yeah.
Bengals like 3.
Okay, so I will say this. I agree with some of the takes here saying I would call this more almost like a statement game for the Bengals, right? This is almost like the next step because the Bears are a
I know I talk about the Bengals being bad, but like the Bears shouldn't be a statement game for them. Like they're better than that.
True, they're better than the Bears. My point is because they're better than the Bears are a below 500 team. But the Bengals are still going on the road. If you lose to a below 500 team, then you are a below 500 team, essentially, right? So this is.
But they made the playoffs last year, though. Are they 500?
No.
Yeah. The Bears did make the playoffs. Yes, they were the 7th seed. Yes. The Bears. Hold on. You don't remember the Nickelodeon game? The MVP, Mitch Trubisky?
Oh, that's
you
right.
don't remember Jimmy Smith having like the greatest catch in the world and then just like game over.
Okay. Well, the Bengals. I think the Bengals are definitely better. I think the coverage is what will get. If the Bengals O-line holds decent enough, I'm not expecting them to be all day holding, but if they hold decent enough. The Bengals have enough receivers to create not problems, nightmares for that secondary for the Bears. So I'm expecting the Bears and Joe Burrow to actually have a really, really strong game. I don't see how the Bears can win this game, to be honest, unless the Bengals have an unfortunate injury, which I'm not wishing on them, or Joe Burrow have just a terrible game with interceptions and the O-line just is getting eaten up. Again, not expecting that at all. So I think this is a game. Again, when I say a statement game, it's because you're going on the road against a Bears team that it's gonna be hyped up. To be honest, what I'm expecting is if the Bears start slow, halftime, you're gonna see Justin Fields starting on the field.
Do you think they pull the trigger? No. Everything Nagy's saying, he's not pulling the trigger anytime soon. He's
but what I'm saying is, if that offense cannot move, I think in halftime he pulls the trigger. I'm not saying right away.
They need to.
Bears fan, welcome to the Bengals lives for so many years during the Marvin Lewis era when we did not get rid of Andy Dalton. Welcome to it.
I just don't understand.
Here's the thing though with Matt Nagy, because he's still there.
Yeah.
He's not going to go to Justin Fields for a long time.
I don't think he is. No.
Yeah, because he's stubborn. One, everybody's gotten on his case about this whole Andy Dalton thing.
Yeah.
But now he's doubled down on the stubborn.
Yeah.
And then, he thinks that this is how his offense should be played. Like he chose sorry for the last 3. Like, let's not forget, like them getting Andy Dalton was no surprise because they literally traded for sorry last year when they got Nick Foles. What, that was 2 years ago? They traded for Nick Foles.
Yeah,
that was last year, wasn't it? No, that was last year. You're right. That was last year.
They had Mitchell Trubisky. This man is afraid of exceptional. He wants sorry. Like, that's just what it is with him.
It's just weird because they likes it. Fields fell to them. They had to trade up to get him, but he fell within range that they could go up and get him. They get him, right? So what are you rebuilding at this point? Just put the kid in. You've got enough power around him. I don't understand.
For some reason, he's afraid that if he fails he thinks that he's more safe. Remember, he's coaching for his job, and for some reason he feels safer with Dalton because Dalton's I think he thinks his floor is higher as Justin Fields' rookie year. That's what he thinks. So I think he's mistaken. If I was him, to be honest, what the hell are you gonna lose? You saw how Andy Dalton looked week 1. You're gonna say right?
But
This
that's
is
Andy
the floor for
Dalton
Andy
floor,
Dalton
or the Andy Dalton
but you have
ceiling
to
is
remember,
like 20 points a game.
You
It's
have to
it's
remember,
like 20 points.
You have
7
to
yards
remember,
on the field. That's the floor.
That's just
Ceiling,
not how coaches in the NFL think, though. Like if somebody who's watched multiple coaches, they all think the same when their job's on the line, which is, oh man, I got to go with somebody reliable. Hugh Jackson almost traded for AJ McCarron, because he had a rookie quarterback at one time, and almost traded the Nick Chubb pick to the Bengals. Okay, like this is what coaches do when they're panicking for their job. Yeah. They will go with anything that seems familiar, and they will talk themselves into that dude being able to be the future. That's how the Browns end up with RG3 when we know RG3 ain't got no knees no more, and saying that's going to be the quarterback of the future. We don't need to draft a young guy. We got RG3. This is how this happens. I'm pretty sure what we think of Andy Dalton is not what Matt Nagy thinks. Matt Nagy thinks, hey, man, it was only 5 years ago. He was a quarterback of one of the best offenses in football. Why can't he do that now? That's what Matt Nagy is thinking. He's thinking this just needs time. It's his first year in this system. He just needs to gel in it. So he's going to give Andy Dalton, he's going to get Andy Dalton like 8 games until the ownership steps in and says, dog, we got to sell these tickets. And
I think
yeah. We'll sell them tickets. That's what it's going to come down to. It's going to be business that gets Justin Fields in the game. But I'll tell you, Matt Nagy will go kicking and screaming before he puts it in there because, one, he has a track record of just loving sorry. This dude came up on Alex Smith. He came up on an Alex Smith hit with the Chiefs back in the day. And then he did the Mitchell Trubisky and then traded for Nick Foles.
He did Foles and Philly.
Yeah, and then signed Andy Dalton. When we were joking, me and Tony used to joke, who's going to be the sucker that's going to sign Andy Dalton to start for their football team? Me and Tony literally had that joke going last year. And who is it? Matt Nagy, because it's always Matt Nagy. He's the dude who traded for Nick Foles. Yes, this is what he does. He just loves sorry, and he's going to go with sorry until he's going to – look, it's like they say the Ravens died with Curve Zero and live with Curve Zero. Matt Nagy will die with sorry quarterbacks, and he's going to live with sorry quarterbacks. That is just what he does. He is addicted to mediocrity.
Gotcha. So I forgot to mention I'm going with the Bengals. I don't know if I said it. I think Bengals.
Is it a Bengals sweep?
Bengals sweep. We got Steelers sweep, Bengals sweep. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you, Ace. I'll see you at 1-1 next week.
I'm pretty confident all of our choices this week are probably going to be sweeps.
Yeah, I think so too. Gaming with Gio. Shout out for your donation. All love here for my boy Ace coming from a Steelers fan. Thank you all for
appreciate that, bro.
To entertain us. Thank you for that donation. Okay, so now let's go with the bottom of this division.
Where do you want to start? Which bottom?
Let's go with Q. Let's go with the
a lot of teams to talk about down here.
Let's go with the Browns. Q, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this is a game they should win, and I anticipate they will. It's a home opener. You just lost a close game against Kansas City. There might be a little bit of a letdown, but this isn't a team that you should lose to. They're going to be starting Tyrod Taylor again. Now, on the injury side for the Cleveland Browns, it's starting to get a little interesting there, right? No Odell again. You're going to be wondering what you're going to have there with Jedrick Wills. There's a few questions there along the line of scrimmage on what you're going to do there. But you got Baker Mayfield. You got the Chubb and Hunt. You got enough to win the game. So this is a game they should win. I'm interested to see if they can contain somebody who's mobile, but not necessarily like the greatest quarterback in the world, even though I think Tyrod's a little underrated. I feel like he's just been in a couple of bad situations, but it would be something to see if that linebacker play can open up a little bit and stop some of these QB runs, because last week they weren't going to be able to do it. But Patrick Mahomes puts you in so many binds that it's almost impossible to be worried about the scramble and worried about Travis Kelce, worried about Tyreek Hill way up there, and the other kid they got up there, Nicole Harmon? Yeah, Nicole Harmon, who's another freakishly fast guy. Like, they got enough problems there. The Texans do not present those same problems. So this is a defense that you should be able to defend a lot easier. Not saying that the Texans don't present any problems. They put up a lot of points last week. you know, it's a far cry from Patrick Mahomes that you're playing this week. So I'm not going to be out here saying, hey, you held him under 30. Good job defense like I was last week, even if they do have +2 on the turnover margin. And that's also something that needs to be taken care of, right? Last week, the Browns fumbled that game away. They made crucial mistakes at critical moments of that game that cost them the chance to win it. You talk about the Baker interception at the end of the game. You talk about the punt in the fourth quarter, and you talk about the fumble in the third quarter. All these things happened in the second half when you had control of this game up until Baker's interception. And all of these things cannot happen again. Now, I think, honestly, if you do those things against the Texans, you could still probably beat them at home, but you just don't want to make a habit of doing those things. So I would love to see those things cleaned up. I would love to see a good showing by the defense. Is a little bit of a revenge game for Clowney because, like, he's been injured so much. I don't know if he's ever played the Texans after he's been released, even though it's been ages since he's played there. I have no idea if that's a revenge game or not. Knock on wood that he makes it there because dudes are dropping like flies this year. But yeah, I think this should be a game where the Browns should probably win by a decent margin. It's always hard to predict that you win by 10 points or something like that. So I'll go Browns by 7 here. I just don't see any problems that the Texans present to the Cleveland Browns that should deter the Cleveland Browns from winning this game if they play anything like they did in the first half last week or anything like they did in the second half of last season.
Super chat for Quinn Norris. Thank you for the donation. Which wideout/tight end do you anticipate getting the majority of the target this week against Houston?
Peoples-Jones and David Njoku, because Peoples-Jones was open quite a lot last week, and Baker did not hit him in certain points of the game because he had his eyes on Anthony Schwartz, because I believe the game plan was for Odell, and they took Odell out the last minute. Now he's not going to play the week 3. So they have had time to adjust to that. Peoples-Jones should be the key read on some of these plays more often. And I think there's going to be a lot there for him. So I would expect Peoples-Jones. And David Njoku, he's been incredible. I mean, you paid Austin Hooper a ton of money, and he took Austin Hooper's job. This is a dude I thought was going to get cut last year because he was so underperformed. He has stepped it up. He was a tremendous blocker last week.
Contract year, baby.
Shocker.
Hey, some of us never stop believing, Quincy. Okay, listen, I've been a David Njoku guy all the way back. I never gave up hope.
Yeah. You know, if you only throw him the ball in difficult positions and he has to make incredible catches, he's more reliable than that if you just give him like easy passes. So they figured it out with David Njoku, the type of balls you need to throw him. But go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, he was talking about who should get the majority of the targets. I really like when they throw to Schwartz in big moments. I think they should keep doing that. I like that. I like when they throw to Schwartz in big moments.
I hope that comes back to bite you. But yeah,
it always does. It always does. I don't care. It's still fun.
So smug. So smug. I hope that gets you. But yeah, I think they're probably going to go Peoples-Jones here more often. Maybe you see more Rashard Higgins in the game plan, and maybe you see a lot more of the run game here. Even though I think they should probably – Baker needs to get out of this, hey, let's keep him under 30 pass attempts. I think the offense kind of flows better when it goes through him. So I'm more on that train. I know some of you guys disagree with that, but I'm more on that train where it's just like I'd rather see Baker do more because I think the offense just moves better with him. And after watching tape, I still believe that. So that's where I'm at with them. I think they're going to win. They really shouldn't lose this game against the Texans. And, look, if they lose this game against the Texans, this is a roast-worthy loss, right? Like, this is a loss you cannot have.
Yeah, it's not good.
You can't be out here talking about, man, we lost home field advantage in the playoffs because we lost to the Chiefs and then lose to the Texans the week after, right? Like, that just can't happen. So you got to win this game. This is a game you cannot lose. So you got to do what you got to do if you want to be a contender, if you want to be a Super Bowl level team.
Mark here says, is Josh Allen worth that contract he signed?
That's how we renegotiating it.
The Steelers defense is so good. They got him playing so poorly. We're already renegotiating his contract. That's how good the Steelers were this week. That's not me saying that. That's our super chats, by the way.
And then we had Dakota. Shout out to you, man. Browns haven't won a home opener since.
Dakota, I love that you gave us $2, but come on, man. Like, they literally won the home opener last year. They won the home opener.
So I think what people
he's talking about the opening game, week one. No,
Yeah.
they haven't won week one. The home opener they won last year against Cincinnati.
Yeah. Yep.
Week two.
So
true. Okay,
yeah.
They played the Ravens week one, but that was in Baltimore.
Yeah, that was in Baltimore, and that was an embarrassment. And we don't have to go through that again, Tony.
No, we can talk. We can talk about it again.
I don't like to pronounce stuff like that because it's but
because
that's right.
Wins against the Browns.
Sonny doesn't live in the past. All right, he's living in the present.
So they got enough wins over the Browns. They don't need to do it. You know what I mean?
Ace, what do you think about this game, man?
Yeah, I think like we talked about different shocks around the league. Obviously, the Packers game was a shocking one. The Bills game. One of the other ones for me was the Texans whooping up on the Jags like that. Honestly, they were on my parlay ticket. I just put the Jags on there. I'm like, Texans? Nah. Like, there's so much going on there. Completely different team in the offseason. And they surprised me. I did not expect Tyrod Taylor and Mark Ingram to be taken off like that. Brandon Cooks is probably on his 4th or 5th team right now, still catching deep passes. Was quite shocking. But I think when you look at this game, this is definitely a game that Cleveland is definitely favored in, and rightfully so. I think, this Browns team, even though I talked about them last week, I still think that they're a talented team. I think that they obviously stood toe-to-toe with the Chiefs last week, and, the Texans aren't even in that same hemisphere. But the one thing that I kind of do worry about Cleveland is, and now I don't know what this is right now because as we stand right now, it's Thursday. But I'm looking at this injury report, and I am seeing, some issues potentially on the line. Derek Wills did not practice 2 days in a row. J.C. Tretter, the same thing. Chris Hubbard
doesn't practice though. J.C. Tretter never practices. So.
J.C. Tretter, right. Jack Conklin is limited, so it seems like from that first game, the line may be potentially banged up. Maybe these guys play. That is just something I think to monitor. But at the end of the day, like Quincy asked me, and you guys asked me, am I afraid to go against Andy Dalton? I think you could say the same thing to Browns fans about Tyrod Taylor. Like, Tyrod Taylor isn't really going to terrify you as a Browns fan. He's a solid quarterback. I will give him that, but he's not. You went from Pat Mahomes to Tyrod Taylor. That's like going from Delta to Frontier Airlines, right? So honestly, I think the Browns should win this game. I think that they do win this game. I'm looking at the ELO forecast with the quarterback. When you add that, it actually favors the Browns by 12.5 and gives them an 86% chance to win that game. When you just look at the traditional taking the quarterbacks out of it, it actually only has the Browns favored by 5.5, by 69%. So with that said, I mean, this is a game that the Browns should win, but like Quincy is saying, you guys cannot afford to lose this game. But I do think with the Browns being at home, I think that this is a bounce back game for them. I think that they get the victory, and I think that the Texans come back down to reality, and I think that they are the Jaguars from last year where they went out and won week one and then will continue to start to lose this season.
By the way, I know I've been pretty lenient on Joe Woods at the week one, and people have been down my throat about it in Cleveland. They do not like that I've given the defensive pass for week one. They hate me for it right now. But I'll tell you this right now. If Tyrod Taylor goes out there and sets a career high in touchdowns versus the Browns on Sunday, oh, yeah. Right. Yeah. If he has a Jameis Winston game, oh, yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be hot for Joe Woods on this show because that can't happen. You know what I mean? Like, I get week one, the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is amazing. That man does stuff that you can't believe when you see it on film. He has one throw where his body was this way. He threw the ball like this, and it just went here. I'm like, what? How did that happen? Like, it looked like an optical illusion. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what did it? And people were mad at Mac Wilson for jumping at that. What is he supposed to do? You know what I mean? So I'll give some lenience for when you're playing the Chiefs. The Chiefs are not a barometer of how your defense is going to look for the rest of the year because most teams aren't the Chiefs. Yeah. But most teams are a little bit better than the Texans, so you let the Texans put up 40 on you.
Yeah.
Joe Woods, man, hey, we got to have a talk, dog, because this I'm starting to get tired of it. You know what I mean? But we'll see.
Super chat here from Luis. Ace Baker is 5-1 against the Bengals. Don't hate him for that.
Yeah, I mean Baker does his thing against the Bengals, but I think if you ask all Bengals fans, it's nothing against Baker. The quarterback in this division that has dominated us and just we've been able to do absolutely nothing about, and I'm talking about blowout games, is definitely Lamar Jackson. Like it's the day that we went against Lamar Jackson, we had beat the Ravens, if I'm not mistaken, Sonny, before that 5 times in a row. We have not touched or come close to beating the Ravens ever since that. And I'm talking about blowout games and everything like that. But respect to Baker. But no, that is not why I criticize Baker, is because he's 5-1 against the Bengals.
Let me say this.
Because all you Browns fans be on his Twitter all the time talking about Baker Mayfield. And now he just get irritated by the name when he see it on his feed.
Because if I'm being real, Ben is probably 22-1 in the last, however many matchups that he's played us. And I'm still gonna talk about Ben because I saw him in that Browns game.
Okay,
What's
so let
Ben's
me
playoff record versus the Browns, Tony?
Sonny, you were saying?
yes.
No, what's his playoff record against the Browns, Tony?
Sonny.
Okay, let me give you
Tony?
my prediction.
Tony?
It's an
Tony?
offer. It's an offer. It's an offer.
It's a what? No, I want to hear Tony say it.
Go ahead, Sonny. We got to keep this show going. We're over an hour already.
Oh, come
Okay.
on, Tony.
So I'm gonna keep it simple. If the Browns lose this game against the Texans, you can expect Tuesday's show to be an hour of Browns talk. Yeah, I'm just gonna. It's gonna be an hour of Brown talk because the Texans for me.
If the Browns lose this game versus the Texans, my shirt's coming off. I'm just guaranteeing it right now. My shirt's coming off. There's no way I'm keeping my cool during that stream. The shirt's coming off.
Browns, look, I defended the loss against the Chiefs, right? I still think that was a loss that if we, before the season start, we're making the record prediction, the Browns are not going to go 17-0, so most people are going to put that game in Kansas City. Kansas City is open as a loss. So them losing a tough game, okay. But 100% of the people predicting this game, minus Tyrod Taylor and the coach of the Texans family, are putting this as a win for the Browns. This should be a game that even if Wills doesn't play, it's not like the Texans are presenting this super pass rush defense, right? They don't have pass rush. I'm more disappointed in the Jaguars. I don't know how the Jaguars got blown out by this team. And the Texans don't present anything that you can say, oh, well, they're not – this team has this one matchup that they can exploit against the Browns. I don't see it. So this is one of those games that I can even see the Browns saying, okay, we're up by 2 score. Let's start just doing some of the stuff, maybe force it a little bit with People Jones, right? Maybe Jarvis Landry doesn't pay as much because, let's
murder them.
Well,
I have the opportunity.
Well,
I've seen them give up too many damn leads in the last.
No,
year.
but Q, I guess my point is I think this game is gonna be out of reach by the third quarter, maybe by 21, whatever. And at that point, I can see this is what essentially the Ravens did 2 years ago. Then they said, okay, we're gonna then use this guy, because we want to give them reps and we want to see how they do. I think that is this kind of game for the Browns. I don't see it being close at all. As much as I defended the Browns last week by a close win, a loss, if they go to a close win, I think that's problematic because this game, the Browns defense should be way better than that Houston offense, and that Browns offense should be way better than that Houston defense. The Browns can control the clock if they want it because the Houston does not have any answer for that running game. And they can control the air if they wanted to because that air defense there's nothing against the Browns offensive attack. And the other way is true. So I don't want to beat the dead horse. I think this should be a comfortable win. If you say, Sonny, rank me top 4, which are the one that you're more comfortable with? I would say the Browns this week is the one that I'm feeling the most comfortable predicting that they will win over the Steelers and over the Bengals. I think the Browns have the easiest game this week of the 4.
Maybe my survivor pick might be.
It was so overwhelming on the Yahoo Survivor pick poll that people were picking the Browns in this game that I just didn't feel comfortable going with it. I had to go. I went with Green Bay. I was like, "There's no way the Green Bay Packers lose against the Lions. There's no way they look that bad 2 weeks in a row." So,
And by the way, somebody asked me about these percentages. These percentage is not our percentage in our league. It's the percentage of all users
all around.
Yeah. Yes. Somebody asked me oh my God, everybody's speaking the Browns in our division. No, it's not our league. It might be. I'm saying that percentage is for Yahoo entirely. Anyway, Rex Fortune says some Browns players were saying they won't they want to make a statement and win by 25. If they are that dominant, is that a real statement? I mean,
No.
this is a game that you're supposed to win, right? This should be a game that you at Browns fans, and again, Ravens went with this 2 years ago. This should be a game that you're just chilling in the couch, eating whatever it is you eat on Sunday, just chilling, no stress at all. That is that type of game. If it's not that type of game, then you have to go back and what happened. Even
Those
if
are
you
the type of games that make me nervous.
No, this is how they schedule college football now, right? Like, you know, in college football, and week 1 now we do these big games, right? We do Bama and Florida and Georgia and Clemson, right? Or you know, even North Carolina VT, you know, Penn State, Wisconsin, right? What did all those teams do in week 2? They schedule the cupcake. In case you lose in week 1, you schedule the cupcake game in week 2, okay? This is the cupcake week 2 game for the Browns. This is the get-right game. This game will not be close. The Browns are favored by 12.5. By the way, the first time the Browns are double-digit favorites since, I believe, 1999 was the stat I read.
What? We were double-digit favorites at any point in 1999? It's got to be like 94. It's got to be like 94.
I think it was 99. I can look it up again.
Who was that sorry that the expansion Browns was a double-digit favorite on? Like, they were starting Spurgeon Wynn. There's no way they were a double-digit favorite in 99.
Maybe I read it wrong, but it's been since the 90s. Let's put it that way. But
Since they came back, this is probably the first time in expansion history, I would think. But there's
I see. Yeah, since 99. Yeah. Got it. That makes more sense. Yeah. That's how. That's what first time in this iteration of the Browns. That makes more sense. Because this is kind of
pathetic.
This is going to be an absolute. This is going to be a train wreck for the Houston Texans. This is in Cleveland. Okay, this place is going to be going absolutely nuts. All right, the line in this game is Browns by 12.5. They'll be up by 20 at halftime. This game is going to be a wrap in the second half. There's nothing more to say there. This is an easy dub.
This might be one of those games where, with them having guys nursing injuries, they just might like hold them out. Like, we don't need. It's just
well, you're 0-1. You can't do that. You can't do that. This whole take guys out early, try out new guys. They got to win this game, okay? Because they're 0-1 right now. It's not a 1-0 team. They're 0-1. They have to get a win. They can't. This is not like let's try new things out type stuff.
But what I'm saying is, I guess where I'm coming from with that is, you play Khalil Mack in week 3, right? Don't you you might want to sit your tackle to let him get healthy and be ready for that. So that's where I would think that they would be coming from.
If Hub can go, then you can let him sit because Hub's fine enough at the left side. But if Hub can't go and Wills is healthy, you got to put Wills in because you need a tackle.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? So that's going to be the situation there. Look, if nobody's going to care about this game unless the Browns lose it or they win it by a fluke, right? Like it doesn't make a statement no matter how many points that the Browns win by, because you know what people are going to say. It's the Texans. You're bragging about the Texans, like if the Chiefs blow out the Texans, so that's where you're trying to get to. So no, it's not really a statement win. There's no statement wins until you play. You had an opportunity for a statement win in Kansas City, you blew it. You got an opportunity for a statement win when you go on national TV to M&T Bank Stadium when you play the Ravens, right? When you play these Steelers to show that you can finally get over that hump in the regular season. That's a statement game. Those are the statement games. I don't know who else. I'm probably forgetting other guys, right? Maybe by the time you play the Cardinals, they're probably still going to be decent. That might the Cliff Kingsbury's not statement.
Oh, you guys you play against Cliff Kingsbury this year?
Yeah, we play against that. And if we lose that
I'm nervous for you, Quincy. I'm nervous for you on that one too.
I'm not. It's Cliff Kingsbury. And I hear people. By the way, I got to address 2 things I saw in the chat that just blew my mind. Somebody was like, "Hey, Quincy, you got to be careful with Cliff Kingsbury because it's not him that went 500. It's Texas Tech, and the school is just so hard. It's so hard to get good players at Texas Tech. That's why you had Patrick Mahomes and Baker Mayfield. Like,
that's true. He had both.
Those are the only 2 good guys he had. Those are the only 2 good players.
You know what I mean?
Davis
Webb got drafted. Like, he's not out there with bums. He had Patrick Mahomes in the Big 12, where literally all that matters is you can put up points, and he couldn't put up enough points with Patrick Mahomes.
Well, they did put up a lot of points. Like,
look at how good Patrick Mahomes is, and think Cliff Kingsbury was so bad at his job. Patrick Mahomes was not the number 1 overall pick, not the number 2 overall pick. He went like 10th. He was so bad. People were able to justify Mitchell Trubisky being drafted ahead of Patrick Mahomes, and nobody said nothing when that happened.
Well, one thing I'll say is
how bad of a coach
the Texas Tech thing, though. People always there was like a bad taste in people's mouth of Texas Tech quarterbacks before Pat Mahomes reversed it. So everyone just was like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna throw for 400, 500 yards a game in Texas Tech because that's all they do." So I think Mahomes definitely changed the narrative. But before that, it was
he didn't change the narrative. He just broke through because he's that damn good. That what Cliff Kingsbury did to him. Everybody else got ruined by everybody else who Cliff Kingsbury has had has literally been better when his hands weren't off of him. Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes. You name anybody that he has had that is notable. They are more famous for what they did without Cliff Kingsbury than what they did with him. And by the way, I saw Justo. It looks like you a Steelers fan say, hey, look, the Browns won playoff win in 27 years, LOL. But baby, you the one. And 1 in 27.
I would say this. There should be a list out there of players/coaches that trigger Q. Right? We have Allen Robinson. We know Allen Robinson. We know
they play the Bears this year too. They play the Bears this year too. I mean, Quincy, we're gonna get the greatest hit. We're gonna get the Quincy's greatest hits this year.
Yeah, let Allen Robinson beat us, and then let freaking let Cliff Kingsbury outcoach Kevin Stefanski. Oh man, I'm gonna be punching air if that happens because they're sorry.
Mac Jones is on schedule.
Yeah, that's right.
Hold on, wait. I've won that Mac Jones argument permanently because my argument wasn't that he wasn't going to be good. My argument was no. Hear me out. My argument was that it would be really stupid to trade up to 2 to take Mac Jones when don't nobody want Mac Jones in the top 5.
No. That was not your argument. Run the tape back. Run the tape back. Sonny, you got the tape ready? Run it back. Here's take on Mac Jones.
Okay, so I would say this.
Where he went 15 because I was like, that's where Mac Jones should go. 15.
I would say this. I remember
it's still overrated, but hey.
I remember Q because I actually agree when he said this that Mac Jones should not be a top 3, that he should be middle of the pack first round. I'm pretty sure he said that because I remember agreeing with that statement.
Okay. So you take him where they took Dwayne Haskins. And then
we also talk about he was the 4th quarterback in that draft, and he got drafted as the 4th quarterback.
My incredulousness about Mac Jones was the fact that Justin Fields and Trey Lance were both in that draft, and people were legitimately trying to convince me that it made sense to trade your future for Mac Jones, who you could probably get at 12. That's what just blew my mind, the logic on that whole situation.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really what.
Let me go to the super chat here. The super chat here. Mark says, Ace, it's a question for you, Ace. Is Zach Taylor the right coach for Cincinnati?
I think for right now, I think that he is. I mean, the one thing that I will say is Joe Burrow had a lot of stuff to say. Joe Burrow is the reason that Zach Taylor has his job. Let's just start there. They have a tremendous relationship. They've really connected, and I think that head coach quarterback relationship is always got to be important. And I think that he is because, when you look at coming out of the Marvin Lewis era, there was a lot of mistakes that were made, a lot of arrogance, a lot of continuing to do the same things. And I think that Zach has switched it up. And I mean, I've been a big critical person against Zach, right? But when I step away and I look at the full picture, and maybe it was because the Bengals, had some success between, 2005 all the way to 2015, right? So I kind of got used to kind of essentially competing, right? Didn't really get used to there being new players, new offensive systems, new things that had to go in. So to be honest, Zach really hasn't had a fair shake to actually have players in his system. He still has some Marvin Lewis ones in there, and he finally got those guys out. And it just seems like the attitude has changed. I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of players that have talked about last season and kind of hinted at, some players not really being all in and things of that nature. So I will say for now he is, but he has to win, and that's why he's going forward on fourth and inches and things like that, because his job's on the line. Because if he doesn't deliver, it is the end for him. But I do think that he is the right coach. He went out and did some of the right things, I think, this offseason. And so for now, I think, but he's got to win, and he doesn't have any excuses or anything like that. If he doesn't win, then that's what it is. And that's another wrinkle to this is Zach Taylor knows everything about Andy Dalton as well, because when he first came in, he had to use Andy Dalton as his quarterback.
We're gonna move on here. We got to talk about the Sunday night game, our marquee matchup of the week. Can the Ravens save their season? Do they need to save their season in week 2? We'll talk about it. Ace, I know we're getting close to 6 o'clock. You need to leave here in about 5 minutes, right? All right, so let's get your take real quick here on Ravens and Chiefs.
Man, I mean, honestly, Ravens and Chiefs, it really has been, it's kind of been a challenge for the Ravens lately. Like, that's their we've arrived moment is when they want to beat the Chiefs, right? And, just this offseason with all of the injuries and during the season, all of the injuries, it's somewhat limited this team. But even with, I think, all of the injuries, I still think that the Ravens are going to be in this game. And I think it comes down to Lamar Jackson. It's funny that he said that this game isn't about me or Mahomes. Yes, it is, because that is going to be the Ravens' only chance is having Lamar Jackson keep up with Pat Mahomes and doing things that he can do from his repertoire in order to push this Ravens team forward. And they're going to have to outlast these injuries and do their best job to try to go in there. But like I said, week 1, whenever you have to play the Chiefs, you're grabbing the short straw, especially early, especially with them coming in 0-1. But I think the other thing that sucks for them is Tyrann Mathieu is back. All of these guys are back. I've seen on their injury report outside of Westy that we already know about and potentially Ronnie Stanley. I'm seeing Hollywood was limited with an ankle injury. Hopefully he can go because they're going to need him. But as long as you got Marlon Humphrey in that secondary, you always have a chance. If he's going to be on Tyreek Hill, I don't know what their plan is. Put him on Tyreek Hill. Put him on Travis Kelce. Do whatever you can. You just got to pray against Travis Kelce. You just got to pray against the Chiefs in general. But as long as you can keep up with them, I think offensively, I think that the Ravens do have a puncher's chance in this matchup. But it is the Kansas City Chiefs. And if you're looking at recent history, the Chiefs have pretty much had the Ravens number. And I think that this one will be the same. And so I'm taking the Chiefs here. I think that it'll be competitive. The quarterback ELO rating, and like I said, the quarterback is what makes this closer. It gives the slight edge to Kansas City by 1.5 points. That's how close it is. Only 55% of this ELO forecast is giving it to the Chiefs. When you look at the traditional forecast, they don't even pick anyone. I think they picked the Ravens at. They don't even put a spread on it. They put the Ravens at 49%, the Chiefs at 51%. So I think that's going to be the X factor. I think both of these quarterbacks are going to have to get it going. Obviously, you got to watch out for Chris Jones, but I think the Chiefs are going to go ahead and beat the Ravens in this one.
All right, Ace, I know you got to run. Good having you today.
All right, you guys take care.
Yep.
All right, we'll see you.
See ya. All right, we got to get to a super chat, Sonny, real quick before we get to your take on this game. Quincy, Mark is asking here, can John Dorsey, former Browns general manager, help turn Detroit around?
Nobody can help.
Can you guys hear me well?
Yeah, you're all right.
All right, so that question is completely up to one other question. Is John Dorsey picking the coach?
You don't like the coach?
Huh?
They're biting ankles. They're biting ankles out there in Detroit.
Yeah, it's John Dorsey likes the goofy shit at coach. Like that's just that's the biggest problem with John Dorsey. He will put together the 2018 draft, Nick Chubb, Baker Mayfield, Denzel Ward, legitimately part of the core of this team that we talk about. A huge part of it. Then he hired Freddie Kitchens and died on the Freddie Kitchens hill. He also died on I don't think Andy Reid should have as much control as Andy Reid does here in Kansas City. This is what this man does. If he's not picking a coach, you might get some talent out of it. But if he's picking a coach, it don't matter what talent you're going to be. It's like the Cliff Kingsbury effect. You probably going to go 500 or a little bit over 500 because the man is the worst coach selector of all time. He is as good at selecting coaches as he is as bad at selecting coaches as he is good at selecting players, and he's fantastic. He drafted Patrick Mahomes, he drafted all these guys. Fantastic track record. Unspeakable. But he has the worst coaching track record I've ever seen in my life.
You underrate him in that way. I think Sonny, I think you'll agree with me. We really liked Freddie Kitchens out there. So I think you guys not want to.
Whenever people criticize Baker Mayfield, it's Freddie Kitchens. You know what I mean? It's that 2019 year that everybody gonna go to. You know what I mean? So
Bring him back. Run it back. They bring him back.
Yeah,
All right, Sonny.
I don't know what he's doing now. He's out there with Joe Judge.
Yeah, I think he's like an offensive specialist out there. Yeah,
the guy who likes to have his team fight. That's what Freddie Kitchens is out there encouraging his team to fight, and he did that when he was in Cleveland. It's just goofiness, just the goofiest stuff. He wore that stupid T-shirt. He was just goofy, and that's what John Dorsey likes is goofy. So that's the biggest thing you got to worry about. You're going to get talent there. You're just going to get a lot of goofy to go along with it.
All right, Sonny, we got to get to your take on this game. I mean, look, we have for those of you who watch, we have an AFC North Talk DM group between the four of us where we kind of chat about what's going on. And that chat this week has basically just been Twitter message after Twitter message of injury after injury in Baltimore. The injuries won't stop, Sonny. I mean, it is. Yeah.
Dude, I wake up
in an injury report.
Yeah, no. This is what Kansas City does. They're trolling us right now. Everybody was full participant at practice.
It's not. I mean, that's a normal tweet. It is just a normal tweet.
No, it's
but it also could be a troll.
Have to add the sentence, right? Like the sentence is what puts it over top. Right?
I mean,
everyone was a full participant at practice today.
It's like a well-structured troll because it doesn't have to be a troll, but it probably
they got plausible deniability.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. We know what y'all doing.
All right, Sonny, let's get your take, though. I mean, look, the Ravens come into this game. They're 0-1. This is a home opener for Baltimore. Obviously, this has been a tough test for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens team in the past going up against Pat Mahomes. Give me your thoughts on the game.
Oh, man. Look at this. Oh, that's not it. That's not it. Sorry. I was going to show you the Ravens injury report because it's nasty. And
I got a Pro Bowl roster.
Look at that. That is not including the people that we already lost for the year, right?
Yeah, basketball team on that injury report.
Stanley's gonna be out of this game. They already said. I mean, he says that he's gonna be out for this game. So Villanueva is gonna be our left tackle for this game. Yep. And then we're gonna put a guard and right tackle because our swing tackle was playing left guard and he got injured.
Yes.
So yeah,
Macari's playing right tackle.
Macari's playing right tackle. And then she saw Hollywood Brown is hurt again. And I say again because in the preseason he didn't practice at all because he was hurt. He played well in week 1. And then so Jimmy Smith is hurt, right? He didn't play. He's our tall corner next to Marlon Humphrey. And we need a tall corner besides Marlon because Marlon's probably going to probably going to go wide, right? But you want another tall corner to try to put in those passing situations to Travis Kelce. I'm not saying they're going to stop him, but at least to bother him, you want a physical tall corner to try to mitigate his damage. Okay, but Jimmy Smith is not there. The other kid that we had, he played well. To be fair to him, he played well. He dropped an interception, but he played well, was Chris Westry. He's injured, and he ain't playing either. He had a torn something.
Yeah, it's a meniscus, I think.
Meniscus, yes. So he ain't playing either. He's not playing. Duvernay now is also in the injury report. He might not play, and then Derek Wolfe is not playing either. So we're talking about starters. They're not gonna be playing in this game. Put that with the fact that you're playing arguably the top team in the AFC. I'm surprised that the line's that close, to be honest, because I think the Ravens could beat Kansas City. If both teams are healthy, we can give them a battle, and there's a potential that the Ravens can win. I know they have our number for the past couple of years, but I think the Ravens could battle them out, and they can, if they play a clean game, they can beat them. But now your O-line is injured, especially on the outs. And then you're getting injuries on the defensive side, on the corner side, and your defense is as strong as your weakest link. And when you think about the corners, you have Marlon. Marlon played well. Marlon's going to be strong. Then your corner 2 is Averett, had a strong game, but now you're presenting him with Kansas City. And the third thing is, if you don't get pressure to Patrick Mahomes, he's going to dice you up. And that is one thing the Ravens cannot do other than blessing. Shout out to Odafe Oweh. He played a decent game. He had the most pressure, Tony Stat, for rookies this past week. But still, you're talking about a team that we cannot consistently pressure the quarterback. And if you cannot pressure Mahomes, he's going to dice you up. If we play cover 0, Tyreek Hill is going to eat us up. Look, if the Ravens win this game, we were talking about statement wins earlier. If the Ravens win this game, as much as I say if the Browns lose this game, it should be an hour show of just the Browns. The truth is the other way. If the Ravens beat somehow the Kansas City Chiefs, how everything is stacking right now for the Ravens, you take an hour show about the Ravens, because if they beat the Chiefs, you're feeling good if you're a Ravens fan. Right now, it's hard to imagine them beating them. I'm gonna go conservative and I say we're gonna lose by a touchdown. But I mean, this is one of those games that Mahomes, there's a lot of places that he can exploit that defense, especially where they're getting hurt. It's gonna be, look, I'm still gonna be waking up at 1 a.m. to watch them, but it's gonna be rough. It's definitely gonna be rough. I'm predicting Chiefs +7 in this game. I don't know where the line is, but Chiefs +7 is what I'm getting. Us here says, Tony, how many weeks are you giving the Steelers offense to improve before you hit the alarm button?
Then he ends. Do you want to say that last part?
No, you can say it.
Go Steelers. I think you got to at least give him the first month, right? I mean, obviously, there can be alarm bells about what happened in Buffalo, especially because of, and this has been written about, ad nauseum in Pittsburgh right now, about how similar things looked to the way that they were under Randy Fichtner, right? And I think what people are kind of hitting on right now is, number one, the running game never got going. We spent so much this offseason talking about, we're going to fix the running game, and then Najee Harris didn't do much until the second half of that game. And even what he did do, he still was like 2 yards a carry. A lot of it was from shotgun, right? We had talked a lot about this team potentially going back under center. They did, but we still, I believe, the vast majority of the snaps were out of shotgun. I got a chance finally, thank goodness, to get the all 22. Even though NFL.com is useless, I was able to get the all 22. I will give Canada credit. The offensive line is as I said on Tuesday's show, it looks different. It just results aren't there. I'm going to give them about a month, I think, and you probably should give them longer than that. But I think for a team that right now looks as good as they are defensively, they need this offense to get going, and not in the second half, right? This whole idea that we get into halftime, we get regroup, and then this team is better in the second half. And that's cute, but man, when you got a defense like this, let this team play with the lead. That's what I need to see out of Matt Canada, out of Ben Roethlisberger, is get this team playing with the lead. Things are going to be so much easier for the Steelers team to win football games if this offense could just show up for the first half of a football game.
Shout out to David Miner. Thanks for the donation. Browns haven't lost back-to-back in the regular season since Freddie.
I love how people say that like it wasn't just a season ago.
Since Freddie, it's way back. You got to go. You got to go way back.
But yeah, that's great. Kevin Stefanski. I think the better way to phrase that is Kevin Stefanski has not lost back-to-back games as Cleveland Browns head coach. Yeah, that's still true, even though he didn't coach in a playoff game because he won the one game against Pittsburgh. So, yeah, that's still true. So he has not lost back-to-back games since he was head coach. I know Tony was going to try to get real technical with me right there. So, yeah, that's good. You want me to go on the Ravens game right now?
Yeah, let's get your take on this one. Because, look, you were the one during the Hot Take show who said, this is going to be a season all about Lamar Jackson, MVP caliber year. Boy, does it ever have to be at this point, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I told you. But, if Lamar wins this game, if the Ravens win this game, Lamar Jackson will win MVP on the spot. Like that's like
on the spot. It's week 2. It's a long year.
Week two. I'm not normally in for the week 2 MVP talks, but if he goes in there with I'm not even trying to be funny here, a legit ragtag of scoundrels on the offensive line, and who knows who's going to be playing wide receiver. You're hoping it's Hollywood Brown. He's been all Hollywood Brown. But Sammy Watkins, he going to be out there?
Yeah, he's healthy. As of right now, he's healthy.
That's not a good idea. When Sammy Watkins and Taven Young are you're Bill a walking Bill of health. You're in a dangerous spot there if you're Baltimore.
I will say this, Q, before you keep going. Every night I go to sleep. Every morning I wake up by damn tweets from you guys from our chat, and I wake up and I'm like, fuck, I'm depressed already at 5 a.m, which is your midnight. I'm like, damn it. Another one.
Doing at practice, they injure and because it happens almost exclusively at practice.
What
is he doing out there with these guys? Is he purposely doing this? But the weird thing with this game, with Patrick Mahomes and all this is The Ravens, their struggles against the Chiefs, I feel like have been because Wink won't change what Wink does, even if it's the Kansas City Chiefs, which is Wink blitzes too damn much versus the Chiefs. Like this is something that's been happening for like 2 years now. That's what costs them. Now, it's one thing when you're blitzing and you got pieces and you got, Marcus Peters out there, but it's another thing when you're going to blitz like that and you don't have Marcus Peters and you don't have as much trust in that secondary as you used to. Now, I'm not going to lie. This could be a bloodbath. Because, the way that the Ravens play doesn't match up well with how the Chiefs play, and their personnel is not as up to par on the defensive side of the ball as it's been in past years, strictly by just not having Marcus Peters. And I think the one game they played before they had Marcus Peters might have been the closest one they played. So maybe there's that, because the 2018 one was the closest game you guys have had with the Kansas City Chiefs, and then you got Marcus Peters in 2019, and you guys got blown out in that one, I believe, right? Early in the game.
Yeah, we came back, but we lost like by 6 or 7 still.
Yeah, you just didn't play the Chiefs last year, right?
No, they played them in week 3.
We did early. We lost by 6 or 7. We haven't
that was another one that wasn't that close.
No, that was the one where they lost by like 6 or 7, but it really was like a double-digit loss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We came back. Yeah, made it a game late.
Yeah. So that's what I worry about with the Ravens the most. Are they really going to do that game plan that Wink loves to do against the Kansas City Chiefs when we know it's a terrible idea against the Chiefs, period? But also it's a terrible idea when you don't have your full personnel there. So I'm interested to see what he does there. I'm going to assume he does the same thing he's done against the Chiefs, which is blitzed them way too often. And let me tell you, that offensive line for the Chiefs is pretty good. Outside of like Orlando Brown. Orlando Brown's not that great, but everybody else is pretty good there. So from the right side on, Joe Tooney on, they're pretty solid there. Also, a big concern I have is Chris Jones is serious. I think he's ready to be on that automatic Defensive Player of the Year conversation with a guy like T.J. Watt and a guy like Myles Garrett, and obviously Aaron Donald. Nobody's on Donald's level right now.
Melvin Ingram.
Yeah, Melvin Ingram, I guess. But yeah, I think Chris Jones is a beast. They have him playing inside and out now. He's going to be moving all over the field. Let me tell you, he wrecked the Browns game plan a couple of times. He wrecked the Browns' entire fourth quarter if you go back and watch him. That's part of the reason they couldn't move the ball. Chris Jones pushed him behind the sticks multiple times. He was a beast back there. And Andrew Villanueva popping over to the left side after being on the right side and then, facing up with Chris Jones. Boy, that's a tough one for Big Andy right there. And I don't think that Big Andy's going to get the best of Chris Jones there. So you're talking about Lamar having a break from pockets again. Again, if Lamar wins this game, and I know he plays on the Ravens, but no. If the Ravens win this game, Lamar Jackson has won this game. If Lamar wins this game, he would have had to have done something so spectacular that it cements him as the MVP.
Yeah.
But other than that, barring anything like that, probably gonna be a beatdown. So hey, it is what it is.
Shout out to my guy. Shout out to my guy. I see you in a minute, bro. What's up, bros? This will be the first time that Mahomes plays an M&T Bank with fans, which is true. It's just different than Mahomes look at the refs. He does after every hit. Won't work. Every
quarterback looks at the ref after a hit.
Yes.
If Pat's played in Super Bowls, 3 AFC Championship games in a row, with and without fans, I think he's not going to be ready.
Oh, no. I think he's mentioning more that the battles that the Ravens has had with the Chiefs has always been in their turf.
In Arrowhead.
And the only time that we did not play in Arrowhead, that we played in M&T, it was last year. Early in the year, there was no fan. Because last year, the Ravens had one game that they had like 10%. But that game wasn't it. It was just completely empty. So he's saying more like this is the first time that the Ravens can get them with our fans there, which is true. And if we had our healthy team, I'm going to be all over this pick being the Ravens. But
can the fans play left tackle?
They probably can do it better than who they got going out there.
Hey, Tony,
I have a situation with the Ravens. I was like, man, this worker shortage is no joke.
Listen,
everybody.
I have my receipt here, Tony, in case you want to. I have an exchange.
Yeah. You want to. We have a trade. It's that trade meme. The guy. You know this guy.
Wait.
This guy? You receive.
I'll take a bag of balls right now for Al.
You want Chooks for Villanueva straight up? Because we'll do it.
Straight up.
No, absolutely not.
Go ahead, Tony.
On my fantasy team.
What's that? You cannot. You cannot.
Chris Jones on my fantasy team.
Before I give my take on this game, I do want to thank everyone who's given us super chats both today and on Tuesday. We really appreciate it. We have over 300 people watching right now. If you could do us a favor, hit that like button down there. It helps us spread the word about the show. And also, if you're a new listener, I know we had a lot of new listeners on Tuesday. If you're a new listener today, make sure you are subscribed to the channel as we are live every Tuesday and Thursday to both recap the games and then preview the games as we're doing today. I have, you guys know me in the past. I kind of made a name for myself here as being the Lamar Jackson hater, especially in games like this one, right? Lamar Jackson can't win the big game, which may or may not still be true. It is. Okay. We don't have to go through this today. I'm just going to say this. If Lamar Jackson wins this football game, I will never say anything about that. This today, right now, me talking about it right now, will be the last time I talk about it. Because like Quincy said, this will be.
Call this man LaJesus on this show.
LaJesus. I have to make a shirt of that. LaJesus.
This will be an out and out miracle to take this team and what they're going through from an injury perspective. I mean, literally, probably as we're taping this show right now, there's probably been another tweet about some guy who got hurt on this Ravens team. I mean, it is just. It really is horrific, and it is bordering on the idea of like. At some point, even as a Steeler fan, like I have to feel sorry for the Ravens because, we have waited. It's been 8 months, right? Since we last saw this Ravens team play. I can't imagine being a fan. Look, injuries happen, right? But injuries happen throughout the year. You at least get a little bit of time to watch your team play before it all falls apart. Yeah, exactly. I can't imagine being a fan and having to wait all off season. And then before they even play, it's like, oh, by the way, half the team's hurt. So
final practice before they play too. That's the good part.
I mean, it's just crazy. It is absolutely crazy. I think that there are a couple things here about this game that actually for Ravens fans should encourage you. I talked about this last week, and Browns, I'm sorry, you're about to catch a stray here. The Chiefs don't have a third option on this offense. And I think the Ravens are far better equipped. What the Chiefs did to the Browns is basically just say, we know you can't cover Tyreek Hill. We know you can't cover Travis Kelce. And we're going at those guys, pretty much every play. Third option, don't need one. We only got two, and we're gonna go to both. I do think the Ravens defensively, think about Marlon Humphrey, Chuck Clark, some of the guys they have there. I do think that they're better equipped to not shut down. You don't shut down either of those guys. But you could slow them down a little bit and force maybe Mahomes to try and get a third option.
True, if we create pressure with him.
Yes, and I was just going to get to that. Yes. Here's the problem. Here's the problem with that equation is that that would involve Mahomes not having a lot of time to find someone else if those guys are covered. And as we saw against the Raiders, the Ravens were bringing the house a lot of times and still couldn't touch Derek Carr. I do think the Chiefs' offensive line is better. I do think this Ravens team is really going to struggle. And then the other thing, and this has been talked about a lot in chat, and I think, Quincy, you mentioned this, the coaching in this game. In doing research for this game, I went back and looked at the box score and read the play-by-play from last year's matchup, and I was reminded immediately about how silly the Ravens got in this football game from a coaching perspective. They came out, they drove right down the field in this game, took an early lead, but they kicked the field goal because they didn't go for it on fourth down. They were running the ball really, really well, and then they just got away from that the rest of the game. I do think coach is going to play.
Run.
Yeah, this is a game where I think they just need to stay true to themselves in this one and what they do. Don't, again, and it's the big problem. We saw this a ton when it was Brady and Belichick in New England. His teams would beat themselves. They would go in and they would feel like we have to change what we do because we're in this special matchup against this great team. We have to do things differently this time. And a lot of teams would beat themselves. I think the Ravens get into this matchup against the Chiefs, and too often the coaching staff does the same thing where they get wide-eyed like, oh, we got to do something different here. We can't leave points on the field. We got to kick a field goal. No, you've been aggressive this whole time. Go for it on fourth down. I just think offensively in this game, look, they even lost. Trenton Cannon's gone. They've called up now Devonta Freeman from the practice squad. So the running back room continues to have a rotation to it. It's going to be all Lamar Jackson all the time. Big Al's going to go to his left side where he is more natural. But let me tell you something from watching him last year, not that natural. I think that Lamar's going to be running for his life again. It is going to take a miracle from him, and it would be a miracle. This would be his best performance. I know the kids won a playoff game already, but this would be the best win of his career by a country mile. This team come out 1-1, beat the Chiefs. I mean, all the talk, the eulogies that we've been given to the Ravens for the past week, throw that stuff out. This team could still make a run.
So I will say this.
Oh, by the way, but I'm picking the Chiefs though. And by the way, the line on this game, for those of you who gamble like me, the line in this game is Chiefs by 2.5. That feels like free money. It worries me a little bit, but it feels like free money.
Okay, so I will say this. 2 things. Harbaugh said that we might bring Le'Veon Bell. So that means we might have 4 running backs. If that is the case, the best game that the Ravens played against the Chiefs was our second year. It might have been Lamar's rookie year when we just were running and we said F passing. We just gonna run. After that, every year, especially early in the year, the Ravens tried to get cute and go more in the passing game. And that is not a good fit for a match, especially against the Chiefs, because not only you can run against the Chiefs, you can also control the clock. So I think they should go back to the old identity and say, you know what, F it. We're going to run down your throat, and that's how we're going to beat you. We're going to control the clock. We're going to control the pace, and we're going to beat you by just running down your throat. So, yeah, do I see a W? I just don't. I mean, me being I'm going to be rooting for them at 1 a.m, but I don't see the W. Okay, we have a couple of super chats here. As before we close the stream, if you have any questions or comments, make sure you put that super chat in. Lamar wanted to show that he can stand in the pocket last week. He's the only QB that doesn't need the best line. His nightmare for the that is not true. Every that line, because the problem Abdul is when he helps the line creating time, right? There was a couple of times that he was able to escape out of the pocket. He creates time. But you saw in the last play when he fumbled, the line didn't give him any time. He was trying to go through his progression, and Nassib hit him, and that was that. So, yes, the line needs to create time, especially in those passing downs. I do think this. I will say this. In that game, one of my critiques of Lamar, and I understand he's trying to passing play, go through his progression and pass. But the Raiders left a lot of green in front of him. A lot of green. He could have taken off a couple of times for big games. He did, but he had way more opportunities in passing down. So that he was, like you can see, because most of the pass rush was coming from the tackles. The middle was pretty well controlled. He could have just broke one down and just keep going. So I'm expecting in this game, if the Chiefs leave that middle open, for him to just take off. Brown 60. Go ahead.
The defensive line is a lot better than I think some people realize right now. I think Kalen Saunders is somebody who's been really good. They played really well against what was a really good offensive line against Cleveland last week. This defensive line, I think, is going to be really strong for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think they're quite a bit stronger than the Raiders were. And, now you without Ronnie Stanley, and you're moving guys around, and the defensive line's a lot better. That's going to be something that, hey, look, I know Lamar can move around and make his own pockets, but again, we think in the NFL that has its limits, especially against the Chiefs. And again, that's why if he wins this one, he's the MVP. Hands down.
And then the key here, and this may be a Greg Roman thing, but the key to, if you have a bad offensive line, as we've seen in Pittsburgh, right, the way to alleviate some of that is just get rid of the ball quickly, right? It's about it's a couple things. Number one, obviously your offense has to be designed in such a way that you do have kind of release valves in this offense. And I don't know enough about the Ravens and how their passing game is structured to know if Greg Roman leaves Lamar that kind of freedom at the line of scrimmage, to get the hot read and whatnot and get the ball out of his hands quickly. I did look at his time to throw. Both this season and last season, he's one of the slowest to release, which makes sense because he is so good, at maneuvering around the pocket, and you want to give him that threat to run, and you eliminate that if you get rid of the ball too quickly. But this is kind of a double-edged sword now because he's going to be under pressure. I think we can all agree now for the majority of the season, this dude's going to be under pressure. So it is a double-edged sword. You want him to get rid of the ball quickly because that alleviates the pressure, but you also then get rid of the idea of Lamar being able to take off and do things with his legs.
Yep. And then Brown 68 says, long time watcher, first time commenter. How bad does the New York O-line look tonight against the Washington football pass rush? I mean, the New York O-line, they haven't gotten together for years. I don't know the last time they had a good O-line. Maybe the last time they won the Super Bowl. They had tried a bunch of different guys. I don't know. Washington football team, the line is one of the most legit ones. So I'm expecting it to be a bad day for Daniel Jones.
Who did? Go ahead.
Yeah, how can we expect either of these teams to play consistently when we know they suck?
That's where you're wrong, my friend. I wish Ace were here to back me up on this. Listen, the Tyler Heineke fan club is at least too deep on this very show. In chat, if you're a Tyler Heineke guy, let me know. I'm a big Heineke. What's that?
Beat the Steelers last year.
Heineke? No, that was Alex Smith.
Oh, was it? Oh,
yeah,
that's
it was
right.
Alex Smith. Yeah, it was. It was. They lost to a guy without a leg. Too soon.
I remember I saw Heineke backing up Tiamu in the XFL. Like,
listen, Heineke almost beat Brady last year. You know, Heineke gets no respect, absolutely no respect. He listen, that wild card round, that game between the Bucs and
that was a close game.
Washington, it was a close game. It was back and forth. My boy Heineke gets no respect. They replaced him with Fitzpatrick. Get out of here with that crap. I got Washington tonight. I got Washington. Big. Welcome to the Tyler Heineke era in Washington.
Tony's gonna put him as a survivor.
You were Matt Nagy.
What's that?
I didn't know you were Matt Nagy.
No. You're wrong. This is a take. You're wrong.
Mediocre.
Quincy, you may have a bad year. You have all these things lined up. You have all these things.
This makes sense, Tony, because you love Duck Hodges.
I do.
Just bland, butter bland. Okay.
Look at chat.
Seasoning on that chicken. Ain't no seasoning on that duck. Okay. Bland, dry. And then you go out here with Tyler Heineke. Tyler Heineke, who I know only because he chugged seltzer beers in the XFL as a backup quarterback. No. That's who we going hard for. We're going to go hard for Jared Goff next. Is Kirk Cousins underrated? Who else?
By the way, someone in chat.
For a big year? Someone else Ryan Tannehill the best quarterback in football?
Someone in chat pointed out to me. It's actually Taylor Heineke. He's right on that. I'm a big Heineke guy, but I actually don't know his first name. Another thing to point out, it's funny you bring up my boy Devlin Duck Hodges, because he just signed with my new favorite CFL team. I've always been. You guys know me. I'm a lifelong Ottawa. I believe they're called the Red Blacks. Yeah, lifelong Ottawa Red Blacks fan. I'll be there September 22nd, 7:30 p.m. ESPN Plus. Tune in if you want to see some the future CFL Hall of Fame quarterback play. Duck Hodges, now a member of the Ottawa Red Black.
What are you going to do when the Ottawa Red Hawks sign Taylor Heineke in a couple of months to back up Duck Hodges?
They'll have one. It will go down in the history books as one of the greatest quarterback rooms in history.
That's terrible. That's awful. That is one of the worst things, and there have been terrible things said on this show. That is one of the worst things of all time.
Wait till you see him tonight. Wait till my boy Heineke lights him up tonight. Can't wait.
You know what? If Tony really thinks that, Tony, survivor pick, WFT. You should.
I'm doing it right now. Do it right now. I haven't made one yet. It was Oilers. It was going to be the Chiefs.
Put the house on the football team.
Doing it right now. I'm logging in right now. You want me to show my screen? I'll prove it.
You don't have to if you don't want to, but we'll check it later because we all can see the picks after the
Taylor Heineke.
Here we go. Big Taylor Heineke guy.
Here's the thing: half of this is ironic. The other half is not. There are people like there's a part of Tony that really does think like Taylor Heineke is probably going to turn into like the next.
You think my love for either Duck or Heineke is fake? Then you don't know Tony. All right, here we go. Washington. Let's go. 1.5% pick. A lot of haters out there. Easy money. This is easy money.
A lot of haters. Oh man.
There's Ace is in chat. Put that on. Oh yeah, you got to do the super chat first. But there he is. See, Ace knows what's up. Let's go, Ace.
The Heineke Hive. Hey,
that's right.
You ashamed of yourself that you identified yourself as somebody who is in the Heineke. That's almost as bad as rocking a kicker's jersey. You know what?
Oh,
that is almost as bad as being one of them dudes that go hard for the kicker. Okay, unless it's just
Tucker, man.
Yeah.
Tucker is popular.
He has a regular kicker, and you go hard for him. That's just as bad as being like a Tyler Heineke fan. Like,
Oh, can I take the super chat? Can I take the super chat actually? Because Misfit Culture writes in and says Reuben Foster being worked out by the Browns tomorrow. Quincy, what are we thinking? And before Quincy answers, I'll let you know what they're thinking, Misfit. Okay, what did I tell you guys when they gave JOK a number in the 20s? Out and out bust, and now they need to bring in Reuben Foster to replace him. Because I'm sorry, listen, I would have given him a correct number, but unfortunately, the Browns coaches, the Browns front office, let him take a number in the 20s, and here we are. This Browns team has to now get Reuben Foster. Quincy, where did I go wrong?
Okay, you went wrong really early in that statement. I'm trying to figure out what Taylor Heineke's number is real quick.
It's number four.
Interception machine already. All right, so the Reuben Foster thing, I don't. Browns fans know how I am about things like this. I really don't care about the big name workout guys. I could care less. They hardly ever make a difference on your team or end up playing. Look, if Reuben Foster gets worked out by the team, he's probably going to be on the practice squad or like the last man available. I understand he's a former 10th overall pick, and there's a lot of talent there, and you just had success with Malik McDowell, who, by the way, looks really good. Malik McDowell, former second-round pick of the Seahawks for the Browns, who's starting now, was in the rookie camp, was so unheralded for the Browns. So, I get the excitement over it. It's just Reuben Foster, in a perfect world, he probably shouldn't even touch the field. If the Browns are playing right, JOK should probably see those snaps. Mac Wilson should probably see those snaps over him. It's a flyer. They're going to see what's up with him. But, it is what it is there. But back to this Heineke hive.
Wait, hold on. We got one other thing we got to mention.
No shame, son.
No. We got to hold on. Earlier, Sonny, I don't know if this guy maybe didn't watch Tuesday's show. They're asking you to bring the chain out back again. Because again, we got to, you got to bring the chain out. You got to change the vibe. You got to bring the chain out to change the vibe here.
That chain.
There it is.
And rock that thing.
We win. Well, you guys probably going to have to mute me for the whole show.
Yeah, if you win, you can have the show.
You can have the show. Listen, you can do whatever you want if they win this game.
If you win, you can be a Taylor Heineke fan and not be ashamed of it and not be called sorry by me. But everybody else in here going hard, just know I had a lot of respect for a lot of y'all in chat and a lot of people I do this show with. But then I found out y'all in something called the Heineke Hive.
That's right.
I cannot respect that kind of behavior.
Just wait. They might throw 40 tonight. Let's go around 50 up there.
Here you go.
Misfit Culture.
No, I want.
Misfit, I thought you had some respect for yourself. Paying $5 to tell everybody that you go hard for Taylor Heineke. Okay, you go hard for Taylor Hickey. Really? You go hard for Taylor Heineken, Hickey, Huwuki, Tyler, whoever it is. Really? We go hard for Tyler Heineke. Really?
You found another one. Put another one in the list.
Yeah.
That's right. Hugh's bag of hate is growing by the day.
Yeah.
Now listen.
Sorry for him. Listen.
Have some respect for yourself in this shit.
Out.
Okay, guys. Hey, we did this for 2 hours. 2 hours.
Yeah, used to it.
Make sure you follow us on Twitter, AFC North Talk. Make sure you follow us on all our channels, description below. Make sure you like, subscribe, put your comments, give your score predictions down in the comment section, and share the content with other AFC North followers. Thank you for watching us, guys.
No, one more super chat. One more.
One more. Just made it. There you go. For Quincy, we gotta bring back your Allen Rand. Oh man,
hey, you know what we're gonna do for him? If the Bears beat the Browns this year, we're gonna pool together some super chat money. We're gonna get Quincy and Allen Robinson jersey. We'll have it hanging up there in the back for him. You can put it up in the rafters behind you.
Yeah, hell, give me a Heineke jersey too. Because at that point, I would have no more respect for myself, right? That's how you know I would have given up in life. That's how you know. If you ever watch my shows and I got a Heineke jersey or I'm talking about Heineke's good, just know Q gave up. Q gave up on Juan. Q gave up on Karen. Q just quit. Q is out here in the Heineke hive. I hope better for y'all, okay? Meet somebody that makes you want to be a better person than want to have to cheer for Taylor Heineke. Be ashamed of your support system out here rocking for Taylor Heineke. Taylor Heineke.
Can't wait. Big game.
I don't care for 5 touchdowns, 500 yards. Going hard for Taylor Heineke is the same. What was that dude who ended up being Wally Pitt to Russell Wilson?
Matt Flynn.
Matt Flynn.
Yeah.
That's the equivalent. You know them goofballs in Green Bay that had a 15 Green Bay jersey on when you had Aaron Rodgers? That's how goofy the Heineke hive looks. Have some respect, guys.
Okay, last thing I would say.
A little bit more. That's my message for you at the end of AFC North Talk. Love yourself more than rocking with Tyler Heineke.
You
deserve better. Patrick Mahomes exists. Be a Patrick Mahomes stan. Be a stan of Lamar Jackson. There are plenty of quarterbacks to choose, but don't be out here trying to see yourself in the common man of Taylor Heineke.
I want you guys to come with creative ways, either on Twitter or in the comment section, of a bet that we can have with Q if the Browns lose to both the Bears and Arizona, right? If they lose to both, not one of them. If the Browns lose to both,
he's lucky they don't play Washington this year because Heineke. Listen, after I watched Patrick Mahomes eat up that Browns defense, I can only imagine what Heineke would do to that same defense.
Oh my God, Tony!
Good Lord. Good Lord.
Okay.
We gotta look for the Steelers guy. I can't do the show anymore. This is ridiculous. This is the show now. Okay, guys, extending the show to tell me that Tyler Heineke.
What happens when we get over 2 hours? When you get my real, this is when you get the real.
Taylor Heineke. Taylor Heineke. Taylor Heineke.
All right, wrap it up. Let's go.
Take care, my guys. We'll see you Tuesday.
Yep. Peace.
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.